Okay, so I think we are getting recorded. Right. Okay. Okay. So once again, welcome back to everyone to this initiative and a masterclass initiative. We are going to see some interesting facts and interesting executions today. I want everyone to maintain some patience so that you can get something out of it, as well as I can also be benefited from the session. Okay. So எல்லாருக்கும் மாலை வணக்கம். இன்னைக்கு இந்த செஷன்ல வந்து எவ்ரி ஒன் எல்லாருமே வந்து கொஞ்சம் பேஷன்ஸா நீங்க பாருங்க. யூ வில் பி ஏபிள் டு கெட் சம்திங் அவுட் ஆஃப் இட். ஓகே, எனக்கும் அது யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும், உங்களுக்கும் யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். ஸோ தமிழ் ஆடியன்ஸ்க்கும் சொல்லிட்டேன். சரி, ஸோ ஐம் கோயிங் டு ஸ்டார்ட் மை ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேரிங். I'm going to share my screen. So I think my screen is now visible to everyone, right? So I believe all able to see my screen, right? My screen தெரியுதுங்களா எல்லாருக்கும்? ஒரு ரியாக்ஷன் போடுங்க, கொஞ்சம் இன்டராக்ட் பண்ணா கொஞ்சம் இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்கா இருக்கும். ரியாக்ஷன் இந்த ஸ்மைலி பட்டன் இருக்குல்ல, then the top you have smiley button, there you can just like select the thumbs up. ஓகே ஃபைன். சரி, சாட் நிறைய போடாதீங்க, ஏன்னா ஹேண்டில் பண்றது கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டம். பட் ரியாக்ஷன் கொடுங்க, ஸோ வி வில் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட். ஓகே, சரி. So I'm going to first start with this keynotes. Okay, so the agenda for today's meeting is this. Okay, so the agenda is basically not a big agenda. We have just 3 hours of time to do something. So the agenda is also a small one. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to start with some basic introduction about what is SloopStash and what is Inceptus, what we have been doing together as companies. Okay, so that is what we are going to first see. So let me first discuss about what we have been doing, and then we'll go on to the session. Okay, so SloopStash is it's a cloud-based product development company. So we have been developing products, toolkits, and open source solutions, open source toolkits. So this is all what we are working on. And we also do training programs as well in collaboration with Inceptus. So this is the very basic summary about SloopStash. So we do build products, SaaS products, cloud-based SaaS products. And we also build platforms, and we build toolkits, and we build solutions, open source solutions. And we are also involved in training. Now, this is the very basic explanation about what we are actually trying to do as a company. We are not a big company. We are a small company with few members. And we do lots of so many things, heavy lifting works. Okay. And apart from this, I don't want to spend more time in introduction about what is SloopStash, what we are doing. You guys can go to the website and you can find it. I will just share the link in the group, in the chat. If you have time, you can just like that check it. And what about Inceptus means? Inceptus is our training partner. We associate with the Inceptus to do training programs. Basically, most of the IT training programs that we do, like DevOps, platform engineering, SRE engineering, and cloud engineering. So lots of training programs we associate together and do. We've been partnered for more than 6 years. And we specialize in our partnership. We generally focus on cloud, multi-cloud, and then we focus on DevOps, full stack, and these days we are focusing on the artificial intelligence generative AI as well. So we both work together as a company, as teams, to build some value for customers and for our people who come to us for training, for upskilling their career and all that. So this is the story of simple story about Inceptus and SloopStash combination. And in the area of training, we are associating already, and we will associate in so many other areas in the future. Okay, so in the products area, tool developments, and many other things. So this is the brief introduction. So I don't want to give much introduction towards because I don't have much time to deliver the content. So I will just cut it short. You guys can spend your time, and I mean, if you are interested, you can go and search and find it out in the internet. And I think few people are hitting the lobby. I don't know why. Fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my presentation. So I don't take much time for doing the presentations and the whiteboardings and all that. I do require some attention from people so that you will definitely get some kind of locks will be opened today. I think I can guarantee that part today. Okay, so the first keynote thing which I'm going to handle is the timeline of historic events that open the way for artificial intelligence. Okay, the first 30-40 minutes, I'll be delivering the whiteboards, which is going to be very, very important for the conceptual understanding. Okay, so first let me open that whiteboard. Okay, so the topic is timeline of historic events that open the way for artificial intelligence, created or caused by the human intelligence. First, we need to understand what is the background of artificial intelligence. Now, all of the people in the internet were talking about artificial intelligence. Even the kids are talking about it. Even in the suppose if you go to a saloon shop, there also some people are talking about all that. So when people are talking about these kinds of things repeatedly in the social media, internet, WhatsApp, Facebook, everywhere, and there will be around that, there will be lots of hypes and realities that generally pops up. So it is our important duty to understand and make people understand what this technology is all about. Okay, so that is the first slide which I'm going to do, which is called AI timeline. Okay, so please listen carefully. I will open this and clearly make everyone see this. Okay, நல்லா கவனிங்க. Okay, so நல்லா கவனிங்க. So கொஞ்சம் history தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறோம். எதுக்குமே வந்து நம்ம ஒரு டெக்னாலஜி when we are first dealing with the technology, first we need to know some kind of history about certain technology. If you understand history very well, you understand technology very well. It is generally that something which I say in our DevOps cloud engineering sessions. I generally tell people that if you understand history very well, you will understand technology very well, because everything is historical events. Okay, based on that, we can understand where we are now. Okay. So the first thing is I want people to focus on my laser pointer. So I will use this pointer to show where I am in this whiteboard. Okay, developing this whiteboards in the class time takes so much time. So we all know, all of you have been using search engines, right? You have been using search engines for a very long period of time. You know, we've been using Google. Some people use Yahoo. Some people use Microsoft. Bing, some people use Yandex. So many people use different search engines to search and get some content out of it for their day-to-day work, for many other purposes. Okay, so if you can see the timeline of search invention, you can find it was invented it was there from 1998 onwards. Okay, where people started to, you and me, I was not there. I was a kid at that time, so I don't know what it is. But in the last 14-15 years, we have been using this search, voice search, image search, mostly text-based search. So search engine is a very important part in this technology world. Okay, even the kids knows how to do a Google search and retrieve some information. Okay, so this is first important technological shift that has happened last 25 years back. It was not even in the 2000s. It is 1998, 99, 2000. That is the time when companies like Google, Yahoo, Microsoft came with search engines. So basically, they index lots of content in the internet, the websites and everything, billions of websites they index, and they try to to give the relevant information when we search through a search engine. So that is the first thing. And the second thing is, if you look into the social networks from the year 2003 onwards, if you can look into this, from the year 2003 onwards, we saw the rise of the Facebook social networks like Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, so many other social networks came into picture. So this is a timeline in which lots of social networks came into existence. And from the year 2023, you saw the internet is generally determined by the social networking people. Okay, social network is one of the important things which determine the growth of the internet, global internet, what I'm saying, okay? And the huge amount of content that was generated in the world is basically because of the social networks. If you look into YouTube, you see, I think millions of videos has been uploaded every day, so they scale at billions, okay? So, and if you see Instagram, Facebook, you can see lots of videos and text content, based content is available. So much amount of content has been generated in the last couple of decades because of social networks. Social network, in fact, is a very important dominant thing in the global internet. So without the social network, internet has nothing. It is looking like that, okay? And this social network era, which was started from the 2003, which actually opened the way for many important data engineering fields like the big data, data science, data analytics. I know most of you here from data engineering domains and all that. You may have heard about the big data. You have been working on data science or analytics. So all these things, which fields that started to rise, it is all because of the data, humongous data that was generated in the internet through the social networks and so many other things. And that data which generated in the internet was also made to available in the search through the search engines like Google and all that. So this is the story from, this is the timeline which we see from 1998 to the 2003s, okay? And even till today, we are generating lots of content in the social media. Okay, so I hope all of you use Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube and all that. And if you look into this next section, from the year 2008 onwards, if you see 2008 onwards, there was another thing that happened in the technology world, which is the rise of open source platforms, coding platforms like GitHub, the source forge. So these are all the platforms which actually created where the open source developers, the open source community started to collaborate, and they started to develop code and push code in GitHub, SourceForge, like that. So the coding platforms, the rise of coding platforms, the place where you store lots of source code like Python, Java, PHP, JavaScript, so many code which you generate and write were generally stored in GitHub. Okay, I'm talking about the public code. I'm not talking about the private code. So lots of code has been generated and has been stored in this area. Okay, so if you look into this timeline overall from 1998 onwards and the 2003s and in the 2008s, you can see the rise of the search engines, you can see the rise of social networks, you can see the rise of coding platforms. So three important things which actually started to rise slowly in the last, from 1998 till 2014, 2015, you can see these things started to rise. We need to know these things very well before we deal with technology like artificial intelligence or whatever it is. Even when you talk about infrastructure engineering fields like DevOps, SRE, cloud computing based engineering domains, everyone has to know certain amount of history on what happened when and how. These are all the things which actually change the way how technology works and how people work with the technology. Okay, இதெல்லாம் நம்ம கொஞ்சம் timeline which understand பண்ணிக்கணும். So that is the main thing. Now, what I'm going to say is, today, if you look into the state of, suppose, take for example, GitHub, millions of developers write code, share code as an open source software. So you can see huge amount of code is available in GitHub. Millions of developers use GitHub every day, including us. Okay, so these are all the three things which we need to consider before talking about artificial intelligence based systems. Okay, what is the first thing? The size search engines. What is the second thing? The social networks. What is the third thing? The coding platforms. These three are the major important ingredients that fueled and opened the lock for the artificial intelligence based system to rise. Okay, so this is the basement. Okay, now how this all worked together to unlock the way or open the way for AI-based systems or AI-based technologies. Let's look into that. So whatever things that you see here, the Google, the search engine, the social network, coding platform, it is all data generated by human intelligence. You see, we write code, we create YouTube video content, we create images with image editors and all. We write code, we write PHP, Java, Python code. We search the search engine. We give the queries to Google and Google returns the results. So you can see it is all about human intelligence. When you see the search engines, the social networks, and the coding platform, all these things are based on human intelligence. It is not artificial intelligence. It is just human intelligence. Human intelligence is the main cause of data generation in the global internet, whether it is search, whether it is a website that is being indexed in Google, or whether you create a video content, or you create a text content in social media, or if you're a programmer and coder, you write thousands of lines of code and post it in GitHub openly, publicly as open source software. Whatever it is all the content which is generated because of human intelligence. இதான் முதல்ல நம்ம understand பண்ணிக்கணும். This is the first point that we need to understand. Before artificial intelligence, there has to be human intelligence. That's first நம்ம புரிஞ்சுக்கொள்ள வேண்டியது. Okay, so this is the first point. Now, when there is a human intelligence, using the human intelligence, lot of data has been generated. The data that has been generated has been fed to some algorithms. Generally, what people in the data science world generally says is machine learning algorithms or deep learning algorithms. These are all basically algorithms or programs to which the human intelligence data is given as an input or a training data. So the thing is, the fact is, whatever data generated by human intelligence is now called as a training data, is now fed into certain programs and algorithms which tries to predict the patterns and make decisions based on the data. This is the first step towards artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence means it didn't happen over the night, or it didn't happen in a matter of 1 or 2 years. It is something that we need to date back from the search engines, because we gave the data to Google and we gave the search queries. We indexed our websites data. We put data in the social networks. We put videos. We write code in the platforms like GitHub. So it is all about human generated data. That data is now calculated or provided as an input data to a machine learning or a deep learning algorithm, like convolutional neural networks or other types of algorithms were there. And as a result of that, we end up in creating different models. Okay, generally called as machine learning models. That is how we see artificial intelligence kind of systems kick into place. When I say artificial intelligence, or when I say just GenAI, it is not just about, it's not just something that which we illustrated over the night. The progress of it happened for a very long period of time, even a couple of decades it took. Now we are seeing how these things beautifully work together. So I know most of you have been using ChatGPT. Some people use Google Gemini for work. Some people use Microsoft Copilot. All these are machine learning models that were generated, that were created created based on the human intelligence data that is fed to certain algorithms, and this is the resultant output of that. Okay, that is what we collectively or combinedly call as the generative AI, because it can generate human-like conversation, it can generate human-like works, it can create images, it can create text, it can respond to queries like human beings. So that is why it is called as generative AI. Okay, so the core house of what we have been dealing here with artificial intelligence comes from nearly a 25-year-old story. I mean, according to the technology thing. But if you go and look back into lots of theory papers, it was there something long back. It was even 50 years back. There was lots of papers related to artificial intelligence-based technologies. But the thing that happened, what we are seeing now, is a revolution in the technology industry, which maybe we can count the date from the search engines and the social networks and the coding platform. And that is how technologies like ChatGPT can effectively show you the better code. If you ask something with the proper input saying, I want a Python code for integrating with Zoho CRM or something like that, it can give some, based on certain input and data, it can generate certain things and provide certain Python code and syntaxes and all those things it can beautifully generate. How? Because the search, social network, and the coding. So basically, the search data, the content from the social networks, and the code which is available in the open source platforms are the fuel for what we are dealing with, what we are saying, the generative AI-based technologies. Okay, so this is the first thing everyone has to understand. To understand this, you don't need to be a kind of a very techie or a pro, but this is a very basic. Anyone can understand this concept. You don't need to be a programmer to understand what terminologies I have been using. Okay, so I believe all of you understood from where we can come, from where to start, and from where we are right now, where we are now, actually. Okay, so this is the progression of timeline. So this is how the search engines, social networks, and coding platforms open the way for generative AI technologies. புரியுதாங்க? எத்தனை பேருக்கு இது புரிஞ்சிச்சு? How many of you were able to view like this? ஒரு reaction போடுங்க பார்ப்போம். Can you guys put some reaction? The reaction button இருக்கு. Click பண்ணி just like that a reaction. Everyone has to react, so then only I can understand விஷயம் புரிஞ்சுதா புரியலையா. Okay, questions-லாம் last, first reaction மட்டும் போடுங்க. I'll be able to help. Okay, so I think, sorry. So now listen carefully. So this is the first thing which I wanted to share. Okay, so search, social network, coding platforms. Okay, data, human intelligence data fed to machine learning and deep learning algorithms, which is how the generative AI-based technologies were created. This is a very higher level view. Now, we are going to slightly go inside to the industry. Okay, so this is the first thing. What is the second thing? As I know, most of you sitting here are from some kind of an IT company, or some people wanted to set your career in the IT domains and all that. So we need to first understand what is the IT industry. That also is a very important thing. Then we can combine how the AI makes a revolution in the IT industry. Okay, so first, to understand the IT industry better, we need to know what are the engineering domains generally, or major engineering domains. I'm not talking about everything, but I'm talking about the major dominant domains available in the IT software industry, and where AI generally comes into picture. Okay, so this is a single screenshot. Okay, if you see here, this is my own view. You can contradict with me. I don't say that is wrong, because it's my view, because generally I've seen this for some 10-15 years almost now, and I think I'm qualified to provide some view. Generally, if you look into the IT engineering domains, IT industry, what we call, in that engineering domains, I'm not talking about the other things, the project management or some other thing. I'm talking about technical things only. Okay, Now you can divide it into three categories. One is the data engineering category or data-driven engineering. We can call it like that. So it's because data engineering means it makes another sense also sometimes. So data engineering category or data-driven engineering category. And there is another category called the full stack engineering category. And there is another category called infrastructure engineering category. So basically, the contemporary IT or the traditional IT can be divided into three great engineering domains. So whatever you are working on, you may fit here or there. You only have to find out where you are working on. Okay, I am just presenting my idea. Now, when it comes to infrastructure engineering, what is infrastructure engineering means? You may have heard about the Microsoft Azure, Cloud, AWS, networking, storage, compute, so many other things, virtualization, endpoints, Kubernetes, Docker, so many things, cloud. So it's all the technologies that generally falls under this categories. Cloud engineering, DevOps engineering, platform engineering, site reliability engineering, DevSecOps, observability engineering, all these engineerings are infrastructure engineering roles. Basically, cloud engineering is an infrastructure-oriented thing. DevOps is an infrastructure-oriented platform, is an infrastructure-oriented thing. DevSecOps is a security plus infrastructure-oriented thing. So basically, infrastructure engineering domains has lots of important subdomains, you can call it like that, like cloud engineering, cloud infrastructure engineering, everything falls under infrastructure engineering. When you hear about the people talking about the tools like Kubernetes, when people talk about tools like Docker, when people talk about tools like Jenkins, or when people talk about tools like Ansible, Terraform, all these things generally falls under infrastructure engineering roles. These are all the tools, operating systems, Linux, all these things are used for people who work in infrastructure engineering roles like this. Okay, that's the first thing. Without infrastructure, these two domains cannot exist. Nalla nama புரிஞ்சுக்கணும், கொஞ்சம் நல்லா கவனிங்க. In the infrastructure, without infrastructure, we cannot run software, we cannot run anything in the world. So infrastructure is the basement for any technology. Okay. So adanala infrastructure is something which is an evergreen thing. It will not die. And replacing infrastructures is not also easy. You can move from one infrastructure to another infrastructure, but there has to be infrastructure that exists. Okay. So if you see this full stack engineering and data engineering is generally dependent on infrastructure, whether it is cloud or on-premise or whatever infrastructure you are dealing with, these roles can be considered as subdomains in this infrastructure engineering role. Number one. Now, when it comes to full stack engineering, this is where the people talk about developing software, writing code and app development. People will talk about backend development, front-end microservice, API development, UI UX engineering, microservice development, test case execution, so QA test engineering. So all those things are generally a part of full stack engineering. This is the place where people develop software applications, products, all those things are coming from this area. Okay, and here people write code in Node.js, some people use Python, Ruby, Java, and people use different databases and different frameworks. So all those are a combination of tools. I'm not just saying this is all it is there. There are so many things available. Okay, and this is a part of full stack engineering roles. Okay, so if you want to do anything with the full stack engineering role, generally you need an infrastructure. Without infrastructure, you cannot run the backend service or an API or a microservice in the app. It is not possible. Okay, so that is first thing. And then you can see here the third one, which is the data-driven engineering. So anything that is driven purely by data. Okay, you don't need to know good HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Google's material design or Bootstrap to develop UI and all that. You don't need to be a backend server developer. You don't need to know master React.js and all. You don't need to know all that. Data-driven domain focuses only on data-oriented things. This is where bigger subdomains like big data, data science, data analytics, machine learning, all those things generally fits in. And there are lots of things people who have learned or to people who have done or been in the big data kind of thing have heard about Hadoop, Spark, Hive, Kafka, and all that. People who have worked on data analytics may have heard about Tableau, Grafana, Kibana kind of tools. And if you look into the machine learning, deep learning subject, data science subjects, and all that, you may have heard about the TensorFlow, you may have heard about LangChain, you may have heard about NumPy, Keras, so many, and the GPTs and everything. It's all under the data engineering domain. So this is how you have to, when you see contemporary IT, you have to see the contemporary IT like this. And the inside the data engineering or inside the data-driven engineering is the place where we are coming to the artificial intelligence-based technologies. You can see here, this is the place where these technologies come into picture more. Okay, so this is what first people have to know, whether you are working in the IT or not working in the IT, whether you are aspiring to join an IT organization, or if you are a student, or if you are a fresher, or if you are a breakout and seeking for re-entry in IT software industry, you have to know this blueprint before you get into it. Because most of the time when we attend lots of inquiries about that technology trainings and all that, people really do not know where they are asking. Okay, they simply say something, and we have to explain whole lots of things to make people understand actually where they are working on. Some people even say that after learning through us our training programs and all that, finally they say, actually I'm working in DevOps for a long period of time, which that itself I do not know. But by getting into these tools and technologies and all, now only I know these commands which I executed, it's all coming under infrastructure engineering domain. So you have to classify and identify yourself where you are actually going to fit. Are you fitting in the data-driven engineering, or the full stack driven engineering, or in the infrastructure engineering? இதுல நீங்க தான் உங்களோட இத சாய்ஸ் கண்டுபிடிச்சீங்கன்னா எங்க இருக்கீங்கன்னு நீங்க தான் கண்டுபிடிக்கணும். You only have to find out where you are. Okay? So இப்போ ஒரு क्वेश्चन கேட்க போறேன். I want to ask a question now. எல்லாரும் கண்டுபிடிச்சீங்களா? Everyone find out? Anyone? You able to find out where you are in? Which domain you are in? Can you guys put in the chat? Chatல போடுங்க. நீங்க என்ன டொமைன்ல இருக்கீங்கன்னு போடுங்க. எஸ் சார். எஸ்ன்னு ஒரு டொமைனே இல்லையே. ஓகே, சூப்பர். டெஸ்டிங்னாலும் ஃபுல் ஸ்டாக்னு போடுங்க, ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை. So it is very important to understand. You have to understand where you are first. That is very important. அப்புறம் தான் we can explore this artificial intelligence, அதெல்லாம் whatever thing அதெல்லாம் நம்ம எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணலாம். ஓகே, ஓகே, வெரி குட், that is nice. சரி, இப்போ what we are going to do is very very good. ஓகே, எல்லாம் ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணிட்டீங்க, வெரி குட். So now what we are going to see is now how this IT engineering domains is going to interact with the artificial intelligence technologies. Because you see these technologies which is rising up in the last 2 years, or more, maybe 2.5 years we've been seeing. I know, you know, when something new comes, it is always there is a buzz around that in the internet. YouTubers generally take advantage to generate more view count, viewers, subscribers and all. And that's not a wrong thing. That's how they make money. But the problem is, who gets generally affected is not the persons who create the videos in the internet, and it's not the people who talk about that, or it's not the people who know what they are talking about. It's the people or the layman. I'm talking about people who do not know what it is all about, but wanting to get into, generally fall into wrong place, and after that they will get some bad experience out of it. Okay, so that is what we are going to see in the next slide. Okay, so first the next slide is going to be like the decoding of hypes and realities. What kind of hypes generally comes around this technology? Because when something new comes, you need to expect there will be some hype. Okay, ஏதாவது ஒரு புதுசா ஒரு டெக்னாலஜி வருதுன்னா ஒரு ஹைப் இருக்கும், ஜெனரலி இருக்கும். அதை வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்ம we have to understand. அப்புறம் நான் ப்ரீவியஸ் ஸ்லைட்ஸ்க்கு போறேன். ஓகே, So if you look into the three important dimensions, I would say when it comes to this, particularly we can call this as an AI era. In this AI era, we can understand you can see through in three dimensions. Okay, the one dimension which I want to point is the hype and the reality. And the other dimension, looking into the AI-based technologies, is the security dimension. And third is what kind of solutions you can. So basically, there are three viewpoints you can generally have. Okay, you don't need to be a master techie to know all these things. I'm talking to laymen. Okay, I'm not talking to big programmers or good product developers or DevOps engineers. I'm not talking to big data people. I'm just talking to normal people, normal laymen. Okay. So there are three dimensions in which we can view, or three viewpoint in which you can view this AI-based technologies. First is dealing with the hype and reality. Second is dealing with the security, and third is dealing with the solutions. When you are in the great engineering domains, you have lots of more advantage and technical visibility. But if you are a layman, you can understand basic things about it. You don't need to get fooled by some other information in the internet and follow something wrong and get into a bad experience and lose your money. That is not the matter. Okay. So listen carefully. Nalla gavaninga. So what is the hype and reality? Now, I know everyone almost get triggered with the content in social media. You see the YouTube, Instagram and all. I know people WhatsApp and our colleagues generally sends some message and some link from internet news channel or something. Every single media gives lots of AI-based content. Okay, AI topics. Well, that content you should not simply consume it. You need to first stop doing this. Okay, if you want to really understand what this revolutionistic technology is all about, first you need to stop consuming content just like that from the media. You need to really be sharp at that. That's the first thing. The second thing is fact checking. Even if you see into us, okay, Inceptor, SloopStash, we have been doing lots of intense research for the last 5-6 months to decode this AI-based technologies. And I personally have been doing last 2 months or from the May or June, I've been doing lots of personal research around this technology. That's how we wrote app. That's what you're going to see, how we use these technologies and all. Technically speaking. So without doing any fact check about the company or the person talking about it, you cannot trust that content, because most of the content, in fact, I would say 95% of the content which I generally face in the YouTubes and the internet, in the WhatsApp, social media, many other platforms are just nothing but hype. Okay. And people use all their imaginatory skills to do something and just get view counts and subscribers. That's all. Okay. So we are not a company running behind subscribers. Our need is not subscribers. Okay. We are a tech company, product company. We want to build classical technology solutions and tools and products. So our focus is not getting subscribers into our channel. So that's why we can boldly say that we are not interested in doing that. Okay, so then the third thing is you need to remember in social media, it is all about creating more subscriptions and viewing. Okay, I'm not blaming that. That's the nature of social media. Okay, it has to excite you with some new things always. That's the excitement and some enchantment that needs to be there. The buzz needs to be created. That is all happens in the social media, but that is always not relevant to the original AI-based technology. Any technology, I'm not just talking about AI-based technologies. If you give me a classical example, when in the 2011, please listen carefully. But that's very important. History is important. In the year 2011, when I got passed out of my college and I joined a small startup organization, cloud was the famous thing. Cloud computing that time. And everywhere, if you see people talk about cloud. So many people talk about cloud. Everyone talks almost about cloud. Everyone talks about cloud. Okay, they say something will move from here and there and all. And I get lots of informations like that. I was just a PHP developer at that time, and I really didn't understand. I believed in all what people said. Even at that time, there were some YouTube videos were there, so I look into that. But when I started to explore cloud and really attend the AWS summits in person and see what they have been doing, that is totally irrelevant from what is being provided to me through the media, through the colleagues, through the team members, or some people who are just talking in the tea கடை. ஸோ டீ கடையில் சாப்பிட்டு எல்லாருமே பேசலாம். ஆனால் அதெல்லாம் பேசுறவங்களுக்குலாம் அதெல்லாம் தெரியணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை. எனி ஒன் கேன் ஹேவ் அ கப் ஆஃப் அ டீ அண்ட் ஜஸ்ட் டிஸ்கஸ் அபவுட் சம்திங். பட் இட் டசன்ட் மேட்டர் தட் it doesn't, they don't need to qualify to talk about it. But if we believe and take those things and totally consume it, then we'll have a problem. I get lots of wrong understandings. And finally, what happened is when I attended 2 or 3 AWS summits in 2012, I think that it happened in Chennai. And then I understood that this is what cloud computing is all about. In the last, and particularly from 2011 to 2012, I did hear lots of people, and most of the things, almost 90 to 95% of the things what people discussed about what is cloud is totally wrong and totally false. Because I started to use it, I know what it is all about. You get the point, right? AI, okay. This AI-based technologies also is coming like the same way how the cloud technologies came in 15 years back, 16 years back. It created lots of buzz around the internet. At that time, internet was not like this. Social media was not like this. But still, we got affected with certain things. Okay, இதுதான் முக்கியங்க. This is the most important thing in understanding about the technology. Okay, then if you look into the AI, we talk about lots of layoffs. Okay, in the news channels, you see layoff happened due to some AI implementation in company. Please do not take that information 100% because AI implementation alone is not the factor for layoffs. I'm saying that many layoffs are happening in the last 2 to 3 years. If you see, huge amount of layoffs have happened in the bigger companies, tech giants, Microsoft, Google, Meta, everywhere, even in the TCS, CTS, everywhere you see layoff information. But that is not just because of AI implementation in their organization. இதெல்லாம் நம்ம புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். Why this is happening is because of wrong hiring strategies and over hiring, and because of lack of skill sets among the people. These, and when company restructures, they need skills. These are all the places where people are lagging. That's why layoffs is happening. Not all the layoffs is because AI has come layoff. It is a kind of a very misleading and false information. You have to understand this, okay? And then influenced by the news channels and creating some panic around the AI topics. People who watch news channels, whether Tamil news channel or English news channel or whatever channels that you generally watch, you have to be very cautious about this kind of topics because there is it can show some kind of a panic. It can show some kind of a positive thing also. We do not know. We take the most negative thing always, human beings like that. Okay, so avoid being influenced by news channels. So this is what you have to do in this decade. It will be like this in this decade. Yeah, you may see in the next 2-3 years, you will see so many newses like that, and you will again get into some kind of hypes and get yourself stuck into a bad experience. That will happen definitely. But we have to be cautious enough to take whether it is right or wrong. Other than expert suggestions, people who work in the technology, you can get suggestions. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is the security issues revolving around this artificial intelligence-based technologies. The people believe ChatGPT is just nothing. It's just all about the AI. Okay, AI world is so big. ChatGPT is a part of it. Okay, so most of the time I do see people believe ChatGPT equal to AI, or it is not true. That is not true. ChatGPT is a cloud-based generative AI service. Anyone can use. The kids can use it. Installing a mobile app, anyone can use it. Okay, so that is not the bigger thing. So ChatGPT is a part. ChatGPT is not the AI part. When I say AI, some people ask, I want to learn AI. Through inquiry calls we get, we ask them, what is it? What do you want to learn? They say ChatGPT. What do you want to learn in ChatGPT? You have the app, install it and use it. That's all. What do you want to learn? If you want to learn AI, then you have lots of things. ChatGPT alone is not the matter. How to integrate ChatGPT with your own system software applications is the most important big matter there. Okay, so this is one misconception. Okay, and the second thing which I want to deal with security issues is the enterprise data. Companies, bigger companies or smaller companies, the enterprise data is their own data, okay, or even sometimes it includes customers' data. So we cannot afford to always put the customer data in a cloud-based generative AI service like ChatGPT, because they store the data, they do something with the data. Okay, and it is a kind of data privacy or security concern, data security concern for that organization. Okay, so this is a talk that has been going on among the Indian IT industry for a very long period of time now. And many companies are now trying to find alternate solutions to develop AI-based applications that by bypassing the ChatGPT kind of thing. Okay, there are more options we will see today. And not all the companies can afford the pricing model that cloud-based AI services provide, like GPT, because that is too costly and the development of applications around the AI technologies becomes so huge. Cost of development goes big. And when it comes uncontrolled, what you can how can you control the execution? Because artificial intelligence technology, if you see till today, it is an experimental technology. We cannot say it's a mature thing. If you use Google's Gemini or Microsoft Copilot, or even if you use the Brave browser, you can see in the bottom, they say a statement like AI is experimental. Even if you use ChatGPT, you may have heard, has seen about that AI may sometimes give wrong answers also. Like that, statements will be there. So it is still in an experiment. Okay, it's not a matured one. What we are right now dealing with is not 100% mature. It has a long way to go. Okay, that's the very important. But we are in the beginning phase, so we have to choose wisely. That's the matter. Okay. And this is all the security related thing, the data privacy issues and the cost related issues. When it goes uncontrolled, what will happen after that? So that question needs to be answered. And then when you look into the solutions part, if you look into the solutions, so you need to know the first hype's reality and the security issues, then you can talk about the solutions. So what kind of solutions you can have around this AI-based technologies after seeing the hypes, the security related matters? There are lots of security things there. I've just quoted 2 or 3 things like this, okay? So what kind of solutions you can go is, you can find literal alternatives for cloud-based generative AI services in the open source world. Open source is a very huge community. You can find lots of generative AI, large language models available in the open source world. Okay, so that is why I'm saying ChatGPT alone is not the entire world of AI. There are lots of language models available in the open source. Okay, which can be used for research, which can be used for development, testing, and you can almost build your own customized, highly customized artificial intelligence based applications and products and all those things without spending so much amount of money. Okay, that is the important thing. That can be possible through the open source AI. Okay, what we've been using is a cloud-based one, is a priced model. Okay, and then you can see the cost of deploying and running open source generative AI based models in on-premise infrastructure is very easy. So you can, it comes at 0 cost. So you can easily develop software applications around without any limitations. You don't have any limitations in developing. You can try any model, any language model you can go and try. There are thousands of things available here. That's what I'm going to unravel today in the next coming hours. Okay. And you can generally take the development production kind of things. Okay. If you are developing AI based applications, if you are in the infrastructure infrastructure engineering roles. As I told in the IT engineering domains, without infrastructure, you can't run anything here in the world. Okay, if you want to run a software, you want to run a database, you want to run an app, you want to run AI or data analytics or front-end microservice, whatever it is, you need infrastructure. Okay, infrastructure tools like Docker, Kubernetes enables you to easily leverage and build AI-based solutions. You can take it from development to production effortlessly. You can, and in your own on-premise infrastructure. If you want to go and run it in the cloud infrastructure, in your own customized cloud infrastructure, also possible. Okay, so limitless AI execution environment and highly controlled and secure environment is possible. So these are the three dimensions that you have to see into this AI-based technologies. Okay, what are all the three dimensions? One is the hype's reality. You need to know, careful about social media, news channels, and what you follow, what kind of content you consume, what you take, and what you panic. So that thing, and then we need to know what are all the security potholes in the AI. If it goes uncontrolled, who is going to stop that? And if what about the enterprise data? We have customer data, enterprise data we throw into GPT or something where it is stored somewhere, and what will happen for our data? So those kinds of things are the security concerns. And then you can go to the solutions through open source generative AI language models, and we can run it from development to production in any infrastructure, cloud, on-premise, everywhere. Okay, so this three-dimensional view you should not forget. Okay, people, whether you are in the IT or non-IT student or a fresher, I'm talking to laymen. I'm not going highly technical, just layman level. Okay, sure. So, the segment, how many of you understood these three segments? The moon segment, three segments: high priority, security, and the third thing is the reaction board. You will see reaction. Reaction board interaction. Okay, last questions deal pannumbodhu we can easily handle that. Okay, sure. Now, the next thing. Now, listen carefully. Now, the next thing is all about, I come to this topic now. We need to know conceptually what are all the different operational layers in the AI. Okay, now up to this, whatever we have seen is all about some kind of stories. Okay, first we have seen the timeline, and then we have seen the domains in the IT, and then we have seen what kind of hypes and the security solutions, that is all. Up to this, you don't need to be a technology person to understand anything what I have spoken till now. You just need to, anyone can understand what I am talking about. Okay, even people who do not know any background. But now I'm going to just get into slightly into this. This is also a generical content. Okay, visualizing the multiple layers of artificial intelligence-based systems. Now, if you look into the multiple layers, first, before dealing with the technology, we need to understand things conceptually. Concept, we can understand it technically. First, concept, technical. Okay. Now, first, we will see what is the hierarchy. What kind of hierarchy generally exists in the AI-based technologies? Other we will just try to decode it. Okay. So this picture, which we see here, which I am trying to show here, is something which is related to the first picture which we have seen, the AI timeline. The AI timeline is a picture where you see here, we discussed about something called as human intelligence data generally fed to a machine learning, deep learning algorithms. And as a result of that, we get or we create machine learning models. Okay, machine learning models. Now, this is the basic understanding. You start from human intelligence data, feed the data into machine learning algorithms, and then as an output, you get the machine learning models. Okay, so this is the basic understanding. Now, how this is all layered. So here I just told it like a flow, which is a very high level flow, not a low level one, but how we can understand this. Now, if you look into this hierarchical understanding, we need to know what is what. Generally, whatever people have been talking about AI, okay, artificial intelligence, the word AI, anything which you say AI, whatever it is, okay? It is a very broader context. We need to understand that it is not technical, okay? We have to understand it. We should not treat it technically. It is a broader context. Anything which imitates human like or human based on human intelligence can be called as artificial intelligence. என்னோட டெஃபினிஷன் இது, ஓகே? உங்க டெஃபினிஷன் நீங்க என்னாலும் எழுதிக்கலாம், ஓகே? In the broader context, anyone who is talking about AI, people who use ChatGPT, they are using AI-based technologies, okay? Even the kids go and chat, do some query, put some question in the ChatGPT and find the answers for their I mean, what is that? For their assignment and for their school tasks and all, they are also talking about AI and they are also using AI. So AI is a very broader context, okay? That is common for everyone. The common AI, okay? The common intelligence, artificial intelligence is made available to anyone. It is not like a Python developer, full stack developer whoever is a developer only know how to use an IDE to write code and do something. It's not like Docker or Kubernetes. Whoever is an infrastructure engineer or a DevOps or an SRE platform engineer knows how to. It is not the common people use AI in the broader context, okay? And the definition for it is it imitates human-like intelligence. All the matter. Okay, this is what we have to understand. Artificial intelligence means it's something like which emulates or imitates human-like intelligence. This is the broader context. What is the, now when you get drilled down into that, what is the things, concepts or the paradigms that powers artificial intelligence is two things. You can see machine learning and deep learning. There are two important things which deals with this artificial intelligence-based technology. These are all technical concepts. Now, if you ask a fifth standard kid or sixth standard kid, they do not know what is machine learning. They may not know what is a deep learning. They do not know what is TensorFlow. They do not know what is Olama. They do not know what is language model. I mean, they don't know all these things, but they know what is ChatGPT, right? So that is what I'm saying. So when we dig into a technology, we need to understand the layerings of that in the hierarchical order. All the common people know the basic things, the broader context, but technical people, when it comes to technological implementation, it is all about machine learning and the deep learnings. Machine learning and deep learnings are two great important things, which actually is the powerhouse or the technical concepts or paradigms that powers this artificial intelligence systems. Okay, so what is machine learning means, you get some definition from here. It is basically the feeding of human intelligence data. Okay, machine learning means feeding of human intelligence data to and program an algorithm to generate the language models or machine learning model. This is the machine learning and deep learning. Okay, these are all data science subjects. People deal with this so more about it, but here we are just getting certain things in the definitions real. Okay, and what is deep learning means, it is a subset of the machine learning, and these two are important paradigms or concepts. Okay, and now when you come down to this, you see something called as generative AI. The word generative means we need to understand what is generative. Basically, when a machine learning model, I mean, I take this timeline, you see here, when a machine learning model can generate human-like work or do some human-like work, basically generate a text on its own or generate an image on its own, or generate a video or something like that on its own, then it is a generative AI. Generative AI means people generally think generative AI is a tool or a tech. Generative AI again is a paradigm, or you can say a categorization in the AI. We can say generative AI is basically a categorization in the AI. And in the generative AI concepts, large language models are a specific type. Okay, this is how you visualize things like that. Okay, these are all the paradigms. Generative AI is a kind of a concept, and then which is based on the machine learning and deep learning. And in that concept, there is a specific type, which is where we come to the large language models, LLM. Okay, so technically, when it comes to technical implementation, you don't need to master machine learning, you don't need to master deep learning, you don't need to know each and everything about generative AI, but you have to know how to use a large language model. Okay, this is the backbone of whatever we are talking about the AI. So the backbone is the core. Idan core nu sollu. Okay, so this backbone is the thing which what is powering the Chat GPT, what is powering the Microsoft Copilot, what is powering the Google's Gemini is all about machine learning models. Okay, which were created with the trained with the human intelligence data. And this is the core or the backbone of this entire AI-based technologies. It is all created through this process. So that is why this is the hierarchical view for that. Okay. In each and every place you can see in the machine learning or deep learning, you see different tools and libraries available. Okay, when it comes to large language models, you see different tools and libraries available, different large language models like DeepSeek, Llama, Gemma, Quine. These are all the open source generative AI. Okay, so I mean generative AI language models. So these are all the tools and the outputs which we generally consume to build AI-based applications. Aditya in the hierarchical view. Okay, so how many of you now understood the hierarchical? Okay, in the broader context, this is specifically to technology-oriented people. And then if you go down deep, this is the byproduct of machine learning and deep learning. Okay, what we call as large language model. And this is the core powerhouse that are the backbone of the entire AI technologies. Okay, how many of you understood it? And the hierarchy, hierarchy, is that understandable? Okay, reaction. Reaction is hand raise பண்றீங்க. Fine. சரி. நல்லா கவனிங்க. So the next thing is we have now learned the timeline. We have seen the timeline. We have seen the engineering domains. We have seen decoding. We have seen the high security issue solutions. We have seen slightly into the concept technologically. What is this all about? What libraries we use? What it is all about like that. Now we need to slightly get inside. Okay, slightly get insight to what is that we are going to do today with the AI-based technologies. Now, in the AI-based technologies, we have a concept called RAG. Okay, I'm not going to talk more about this implementation because this is a slightly technological implementation. Okay, but I will try to give the very clear-cut guidelines on how this is implemented. And based on that, we will run a software stack and see how this is responding. Okay, now we come to the slight technology part of AI. Okay, so let me first start with this thing. Okay, இங்க நல்லா கவனிங்க. இது ரொம்ப முக்கியமான கான்செப்ட். இது எதுக்குன்னு நான் தெளிவா சொல்றேன். I will tell what it is all about. Okay, so because this is a very needed concept in the industry today, அதனால இந்த concepts around we are just trying to do something. நல்லா கவனிங்க. So here I'm going to open up a small application design. Okay, small application design based on a concept called RAG. Okay, RAG, R-A-G. இப்போ நான் டெக்னிக்கலா பேசுறேன், கொஞ்சம் டெக்னிக்கலா பேசுறேன். இப்போ whoever have seen up to this, ரொம்ப layman terms I've been trying to do express something, but now slightly technical. Okay, concepts. Okay, now try to understand this. எத்தனை பேர், how many of you have heard a word about RAG? So இந்த word நீங்க AI பத்தி பார்க்கும்போது இன்டர்நெட்ல RAG RAG அப்படின்ற word how many of you have heard? யாருமே கேட்டதே இல்லையா? Okay. Can people put in the chat? No. சரி, okay. No problem இல்லை. But I'll tell what is the use case. நல்லா கவனிங்க. This is a very important thing. Please listen carefully. இதுக்கு தான் இந்த செஷன் வந்திருக்கோம். இது வரைக்கும் பார்த்ததெல்லாம் it's not a very important thing. இப்போ பார்க்கறது தான் important. நல்லா கவனிங்க. I know all of you use ChatGPT. Okay, I know all of you use ChatGPT. ChatGPT kind of things which you've been using takes the. I mean, it was trained with huge data. I think they've been trained with trillions and trillions of tokens. So, I mean, token level information. I'm saying. So it's a very huge thing. Okay, but if you talk about certain things like what is SloopStash to ChatGPT, it says I don't have enough information because it doesn't know what is SloopStash. If you ask ChatGPT kind of, I mean, people use that, right? That's why I'm saying if you ask ChatGPT about what is Inceptus, what's SloopStash Inceptus partnership, what they do collaboratively, it does not know what it is all about. It doesn't know anything about this. It was trained with a huge amount of human intelligence-based data, but the matter is, it does not know what is SloopStash. It does not know what is it. If we are a very famous company like Docker, if you are a famous open source software like Kubernetes, Docker, Terraform, then it knows about this. But it really does not know anything about my company, what we do, what we have been building. It doesn't. Okay, but the matter is, because we are least part in the internet, okay, we don't dominate, we are not a very big company, so it was not trained with the data about SloopStash. Okay, it was not trained with the data about Incept. It doesn't know anything about what we do. Okay, now if you want to bring, so for example, nalla gavaninga, you see, you have a company, you have a product, you have customers, you have tools you have been developing. So many things. When you do all these things, what happens is generally that if you want to build AI-based systems which want to run autonomously, AI agents, and these kinds of things you want to implement, means you need to train the artificial intelligence-based systems with your data. This is the place where we come to a problem. Okay, when you use the DeepSeek or Meta's Llama or Google's Gemini, Copilot, or they know they can generate code, Python code, Java code. If you tell something, it can do, but it does not understand greater things about what is SloopStash. Or collectively, if you want to train and if you want to get responses from these kinds of language models about your own data, means it is the problem. Okay, so you have to overcome that limitation and take advantage of these kinds of models and make these models to generate responses and answers based on the data which you provide. For example, I'm saying the documentation we have written for different toolkits. So we develop lots of open source toolkits. You can see we have VM toolkit and couple of toolkits documentation not there. So lots of toolkits available. If you see the toolkits documentation, lots of technical content will be there. Okay, technical content will be there. But when these contents were there, if my system which I am building with around the artificial intelligence, generative AI-based technologies, doesn't know anything about this, means how can I deliver customized experiences for my customers? You see, you have to understand the actual use case. Okay, then only in the concept puriyum. So if I cannot input my own data, if I cannot train or build a system which is based on my data, I cannot do a generative AI response based on my data, then what is the point of using AI? Can write some Python code by already treat the Python docs were fed into it, so it was trained with that. PHP coding can do. and get lots of information about so many things. But what about my data? How to deliver customized experiences for my customers, customized experiences for product experiences, software experiences. How do you build that? That is when you need technology like RAG to be implemented. புரியுதாங்க? இப்போ புரியுதாங்க? எத்தனை பேருக்கு புரிஞ்சுங்க? இந்த யூஸ் கேஸ் புரிஞ்சா? How many of you understood why we need a RAG kind of implementation? இந்த ரியாக்ஷன் மட்டும் போடுங்க பார்ப்போம். Customized generative AI responses for your customers is possible with this. You can't just use the language model directly to get all the desired responses about your company because it does not know about what is what. Okay. For example, let's test ஒரு நல்ல ஆர்கானிக் ஷாப் இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். ஒரு ஆர்கானிக் ஷாப் இருக்கு. They sell lots of different products and all that, organic products. And if I go and ask ChatGPT, I want to get this, is that good or not? It doesn't know anything about it. It says, தெரியாது. Maybe you give some context about ability. Correct? This is what generally we face. But we can train the model, or we can make the model respond in a way that it generates response based on our data. That's why we need RAG. Okay? So I believe all of you got the point. Point புரிஞ்சிருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Okay? நல்லா கவனிங்க. Now, this is a concept. Okay, in the concept on that, I don't bore you by talking too much technically. I know I will restrict few technology terms to make it more simple for everyone to understand. That's the whole point. Okay, because the point is everyone has to understand. Okay, not only programmers or infrastructure engineers. Please listen, or data engineers. Okay, listen carefully. There are two different phases in this RAG. First, what is RAG means? Retrieval Augmented Generation. That's an abbreviation in the internet. You can get it. Okay. There are two phases involved in building such a kind of an application. Now, that's the demo cutoff. So that is what I'm going to demonstrate after this explanation of this program, after this explanation of this whiteboard. Okay. This concept is very important. Okay. What is generation phase? What is retrieval phase? This RAG concept can be divided into two major categories: generation and retrieval. Okay. In the generation context, first let's look into what is generation. We don't need to look into both the pictures. We get confused. What is generation of RAG concept? How this is possible? How can I make my own shops, my own organic shop, if I'm an organic shop owner, or if I am a shop owner, or how can I make my product or app which does respond to customers, generative response based on my own data? Okay. So you see here in the concept of RAG, there are two phases. One is generation and the retrieval. What is generation? Generation is about, let's say, for example, this is a PDF document or anything, internet article, or maybe like a documentation like this, let's say SloopStash, Docker starter kit, something like that, or anything like this, or what kind of trainings, this kind of HTML link where we have lots of text content and all, whatever it is, okay, it is a document or data. Okay. This data generally which you have has to be broken, because when you feed in, generally huge amount of data will be there. Okay, so you need to break the data into small chunks. Chunk na onnu illanga. Ipo for example, chunk na enna? Chunk na onne illa data engineering appdi nenichradinga. Don't think like that. Na romba simple ah solren. I will just tell it very simply. Okay, nalla gavaninga. Ipo I take a small piece of content. Okay, let's say, for example, I just take this content and I just put it here. So this is an experience that a person has provided. Okay, so after learning, this text contains, I think, 718 characters. Okay. But I want to make this text into, I can't just like that inject huge amount of text into the databases just like that. Okay, I want to break this text like some 50 characters. like this. I don't say this is 50 characters. Like this, I just wanted to break. Okay, assuming that this is a very huge document and I'm just breaking it like this. Okay, usually people break it in some KBs and all that. So I'm just doing it like this. Okay, when you break a big document or a big content into multiple lines, multiple small set of data, this is what we generally call as data chunks or text chunks. Okay, so whatever data that you generally feed into whatever document that you have, you want to make a generative AI model respond, do a customized response for a data. You pass a document, your own data, you break it into data chunks, and then you supply it to a embedding model. Okay, nalla gavaninga. Breaking of chunks means just dividing the huge amount of data into small data parts or chunks. Okay, this is how the system becomes more effective. Adhukaga we break it. Okay, so this is the first part in that. Okay, in the generation phase, the first part is providing a document and converting it into data chunks using certain code, Python code or whatever code you can use to generate it. Okay, this is the first part. Once you convert your data into different chunks, what we have to do is we need to use something called as an embedding model. Okay, nalla gavaninga. Concept ah solra, technical ah solra. Okay, nalla gavaninga. We need to use something called as an embedding model. What is embedding model? Nalla gavaninga. What is embedding model? Embedding model means it is also a language model which helps you to generate a vector-based data from the data chunks. You input the data chunks, what you have broken, right, the big document, into an embedding model that it's a generative-based language model that will generate a vector-based data. Vector-based data means numerical data. Ippodiki idu purinja podu. Okay, as of now, understanding this is more important. You don't need to know what is vector data, how the arrays were created, what is, you don't need to know all that. You just need to understand that it converts this data chunks into a vector-based data, okay, using an embedding model. Okay, an embedding model, there are, we use, you people have heard about DeepSeek, Facebook's Llama, like that. There are certain embedding models available like Nomic Embed, MXY Embed. There are different embedding models available in certain model runner frameworks like Olama. This is a framework which allows you to download and run large language models, and that models can be exposed through a REST API. So this is a very good, fantastic, model runner framework, which allows you to take advantage of these embedding models. So you feed the data chunk into an embedding model. It will create a vector data. Okay, that vector data looks like this. Generally, okay, it don't look like this. It looks like numbers. It's just numbers. So I just showed it like numbers. You feed the data chunks to an embedding model, okay, and the embedding model generally creates this vector data, outputs the vector data. Okay, that vector data is generally stored in a vector data or storage like a vector database called ChromaDB, which is a very famous vector database storage available in the open source world. Okay, and this is what first we can call it as generation. So the first thing for telling the generative AI that I have my data, you need to understand my data. The first part in that is generation part. In that you give your document, split the document. It's all code. Code, we have to do all these things. It doesn't happen in the click and UI. Okay, so convert it into data chunks, split it, and push it to and provide it to an embedding model that will generate a vector data. You can use embedding models like these things, which I will show in the Olama website. And Olama is a language runner, model runner framework. and we use that framework to run any different language models, and then we generate the vector data, and then the vector data is stored in a database called Chroma. Chroma is a vector database. Even Elasticsearch is a database that also can store vector data. There are different options for that. Even if you want to replace Olama, there are different tools to do that. Okay, so this is the first process. Document, convert to data chunks, and data chunks give it to an embedding model. Embedding model will generate vector data. Vector data stored in a vector database. This is the This is what we call as generation, or the generation of embedding data, or vector embedding data. Okay, technically light சொல்றேன், ஃபுல்லா புரியணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை, கான்செப்ட் புரிஞ்சா போதும். ஓகே, எத்தனை பேருக்கு புரிஞ்சுங்க? வாட் இஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃபேஸ்? இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஃபேஸ் புரிஞ்சா, டாக்குமெண்ட் and then you put data, and then that's you convert into data chunks, and then you put it to embedding model, then you get the vector data, put into vector database. All done. Okay, so this is the first thing. Second, நல்லா கவனிங்க, what is the retrieval phase? This is the place where the magic generally happens. Okay, this is what is a confusing concept generally I see in the internet, and when I was first trying to implement it for our things and all, I too literally went crazy that I couldn't able to really find exactly, because so many people talk about it, but technically what is that, and that's the place where we get always stuck. Okay, now listen carefully. The generation phase is the first phase. Okay, generation phase is the first phase, and the second phase is the retrieval phase. You have now stored your own custom organization's enterprise data into a vector database as vector embedding data. Okay, now it is there. Now a person asking question, what is SloopStash? Now let's come to the this part. What is SloopStash? If someone asks what is SloopStash, if someone asks what is Inceptus, okay, what is SloopStash Inceptus? It says generally what it will say. It says, I don't know what it is. Can you please tell me something about it? Because it's not trained based on this data. Okay, but now you have given that context, and you have created all the embeddings in the vector database. Now you are asking the system again your query. What is the query means? Your question, you use Google search, right? What do you search? How to cook biryani or something like that. Okay, so how to cook biryani is the question or the query. Okay, that's what generally we understand. And like that, what is Inceptus? What SloopStash Inceptus? Just like that, it's a query or a question you ask. Okay, and that question or a query is generally fed into an embedding model, and that is also converted into vector data. Like how you broke your entire enterprise data document into data chunks and put into an embedding model and generated the vector data and stored in the database. It's a similar way we use a same embedding model to vectorize our question also, our query also, and that will be converted into a vector data, not to store in a vector database. But the very important thing is, once you convert your query, what is Inceptus, what is SloopStash, what SloopStash toolkits developed, like that and all, you need to convert that text as a vector data and query the vector database to retrieve the results. Okay, you earlier stored a lot of data in the vector database. Now you need to query and get the proper vector data from the database matching this query or the question which you raised. First you inserted the data, first you generated embeddings data, and you just put it into the vector database, and now you are querying the vector database based on the questions. Okay, so once you query the vector database, it will return certain results. நல்லா கவனிங்க, இந்த flow ரொம்ப முக்கியம். இந்த கோட்ல இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்றது it's not a big thing, but the concept தான் important. This is the system which is actually powering lots of development around this generative AI, so many things that is happening in the agent AI மாதிரி technologies. இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப important. That's why. நல்லா கவனிங்க, So your query or your question is generally converted into a vector data, and it is used to query the vector database to retrieve the relevant results. Okay, that relevant results is what we call as the context. Suppose if you have used databases like MySQL or SQL, if you are a SQL developer like that, generally what you would do, you insert data and get the data. Put the data, get the data, insert data, query the data. So that's a common thing. That's the same thing we are doing. Here we are inserting the vector data. Here we are querying the vector database based on the querying vector data. Okay, and we get certain results from that. And that results is what we generally call as context. Okay, you may have heard about in the internet context in the prompt, like that. So the context which we are going to give to a large language model is something which is going to come out of the vector database. That's the result. And this is when you start writing the prompt. A prompt equal to context plus your question. What is the question we have given here? We have given a question. What do you know about SloopStash? Okay. What is the context? The context comes from the vector database. It gives certain results, text only. Okay. And the context plus the question is now merged together, which creates the prompt. Prompt, generally when you see in the internet, people talk about prompt engineering, prompt and all. Sometimes people, as I said, there are lots of funny explanations around that, but let's just leave that. But technically, what is a prompt? A prompt in the generative AI world is something which is based out of a given context and a question. Question is generally your query, and context is something which you need to tell the large language model that this is the context in which you, otherwise you can think of it like this. If I am chatting with you in the WhatsApp, okay, how do I get the context in which, after 3 days, you again message me regarding some inquiry or something that, how do I get the context? I need to scroll back and look into all the history, right? It is exactly like that. Okay, the context here for a prompt is nothing but an historical or history-based data. Okay, here it is not actually in history, it is a real result that is retrieved from the vector database, and combined with the question, you can form a better prompt. You can write prompts in a very different ways. There are lots of techniques that people expose how to prompt ChatGPT with proper with the different types of prompts. So many things were there. But here the matter is we are going to build things for our own data. That is why we are here, not using ChatGPT. Okay, so the prompt is generally given to a large language model. This is the place in the entire workflow. If you see here from the generation phase to the retrieval phase, the first time we use a large language model this is the place. A prompt is generally given to a large language model. Here is the place where you can use DeepSeek, Meta's Llama, Google's Gemma, Qwen. There are thousands of open source AI models available. And to the models, you give a prompt, and that will generate an answer for you. You see, this is how the concept is built. The concept entirely known as the generation, it's based on 2 phases, the generation and the retrieval phase. This is the retrieval phase. Okay, the first one is the generation phase. Okay, this is the concept. So in this concept, there are 2 important things or 3 important things that you generally see, or I think 2 important things. One is the embedding model, and the other is the language model, and other one is the prompt. These are all the 2 or 3 important things that you see here. Okay, apart from this, everything is just putting the data and getting the data. Okay, this is what we call as RAG, generation and retrieval. Okay, retrieval augmented generation, RAG application design. Okay, so here this is a very important implementation for most of the organizations. Why this is a game-changing important thing means every custom product owner, every custom application developer So எல்லாருமே வந்து you may have heard about in the internet AI based வந்து full stack development, AI based QA, AI based எல்லாமே AI based they just prefix AI everywhere. They don't understand what they are asking, but generally when it comes to IT organizations, product companies, customer data, dealing with customers, they are asking this type of implementation. This is the first important implementation people are asking. Okay, so how many of you understood this part? கொஞ்சம் conceptually technically இருந்திருக்கும், but இதுதான் நான் இப்ப practically காமிப்பேன். எத்தனை நேரம் புரிஞ்சுங்க? ரியாக்ஷன் கொடுங்க. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ரெண்டு ஃபேஸ் தான். ஓகே, ஐ வில் அகைன் சம்மரைஸ். மறுபடியும் ஒரு முறை சொல்றேன். இது வந்து இன்னைக்கு தீஸ் டேஸ் ஃபுல் ஸ்டாக் டெவலப்பர்ஸ் ஃபேசிங் திஸ் ஹர்டில். மோஸ்ட்லி ஃபுல் ஸ்டாக் டெவலப்மெண்ட்ல கோடிங் லெவல்ல இருக்கிறவங்க, ஸோ தே ஆர் ஃபேசிங் திஸ் ப்ராப்ளம் எவ்ரி ஆல்மோஸ்ட் இன் இன்டர்வியூஸ் அண்ட் ஆல்லையும் இதில் சில இதை கேட்டுடுறாங்க. பட் த ப்ராப்ளம் இஸ் இது யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். ஸோ த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் திங் இஸ், அகைன் ஐ எம் ரிப்பீட்டிங், that you give a document. This is your own data, custom data that you break into chunks and give it to an embedding model that will generate the vector data and then store it in the vector database. It's the embeddings. Okay, vector embeddings data. Adala detailed pesa mudiyadhu. This is a 3-hour session. I'm already 1.5 hours gone. Okay, and then you see here what to know, and then you ask the question, what is SloopStash or what is Inceptus or what is the Docker starter kit, what it can do, something like that. And that query is also converted into a vector data, and it will be querying against the vector database to retrieve certain matching results, and that serves as the context for your prompt. Okay, and then your question is also added to it, and that's how you form a complete prompt. And that prompt is now inputted to a large language model. You can use any large language model. You can also integrate ChatGPT also. So I'm not saying, I'm not against ChatGPT. You can integrate it through API. You can integrate to the cloud-based ChatGPT service like that, and you generate a custom response which contains what you have asked related to your organization specific. ஓகே, ஸோ தாங்க கான்செப்ட். இப்போ இதை தான் நான் வந்து டெமோல ஜஸ்ட் எக்ஸிக்யூட் பண்ண போறேன். எத்தனை நேரம் புரிஞ்சு? how many of you understood this? how many of you clear about this concept? எனக்கு சாட்ல ஒரே ஜஸ்ட் ஒரு எஸ் தம்ஸ் அப் அந்த மாதிரி போட்டீங்கன்னா எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் ஓகே. So concept is okay. Okay, you don't need to master that. See, you have to understand that no one can just like that write this, or it takes time, but conceptually you have to be aware what we are talking about. Then it takes time to. Adala technical implementations are just 10%, but concept is 90%. Okay, sure, very very good. So now what I am going to do is, I want to show more time, put more time in showing how this actually works. Okay, than promoting, I mean pushing all the slides and all that. Okay, now ipo eppadi, how do we train a system like this in நம்ம காட்றேன். அதுக்கு முன்னாடி வந்து I have a topic called how to build own developer platform. I think this is a kind of an what to do means it is I mean it will take lots of time. நான் கொஞ்சம் bypass பண்ணி I will just move. Okay, so I will just show this how to first in the mari, if you want to build a RAG, GenAI, LLMs, run Olama, run Chroma database, how do you build internal developer platform? How do you build internet developer platform? Adu patti first I will just like that give some glance, and then I will go and show how this application actually works based on code level. Appo உங்களுக்கு you will understand how this is all about. Nalla gavaningga, I won't take much time because if I explain this will go like a kind of an DevOps related concept, platform engineering concept mari povom. So I just cut it short. Okay, so I believe all of you now understood with the concepts, starting from the timeline to the decoding of IT engineering domains, and hierarchy of AI, the concepts, and then finally to a RAG design. RAG design, we have understood the concepts. Now, how to develop applications, software stacks based on this. That's again a technical part. Okay, how to develop. First, you should know how. We need to know how development happens. Then only you can take advantage of a technology. Correct? Very simple thing. If you want to build software applications and products and apps around this generative AI-based technologies, you should know how to set up the developer platform for it. Okay, what I am about to talk is generally called as a DevOps platform engineering topic. So what for a topic after 10 minutes is belonging to the DevOps platform engineering topic, which includes some Linux, Docker, VMs related background. So DevOps platform related or platform engineering related topic is what I'm talking. Okay, this is very important for any organization to develop applications around GenAI. Adukku you need to have something called as internal developer platform, IDP. In the concept in internet, you will get lots of DevOps related post references. Okay, so the first thing to get started with your GenAI-based software application, okay, software application, what are the things that you need first of all? Okay, that's what first we need to know. You need to have the infrastructure for developing generative AI-based applications. First, if you want to develop RAG-based applications or whatever, generative AI, agent AI, whatever it is, you need to have the right developer platform set for that. Okay, so you may be using, we start from here, left side. Okay, you may be using a Macintosh system, you may be using a Linux operating system, Windows, anything, good computer hardware, etc. That is host machine. Okay, generally developers take the code, install an IDE, Microsoft Visual Studio, or what you may be using some kind of code editor, text code editor, something like that to develop software applications. Okay, so this is the place where we write code. Okay, that's most developers do, and that code editor is the place where we write the code that is used. I mean, what we call this RAG design or whatever it is. Everything is written as code in the editor. The developer too. Okay, development level. And generally speaking, Python is the dominant language when it comes to artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science. Python is the dominant language. Okay, which contains is so rich in libraries. So anyone who wants to take advantage of AI-based technologies, Python is a mandatory thing. You can't bypass it. Okay, the tools which I have discussed about some time back in, for example, I showed about something like PyTorch, TensorFlow, and there are lots of other libraries. You see scikit-learn. These are all the libraries which is Python powered. Without Python, we cannot build our own custom AI-based, AI-driven applications. It is not possible. Okay, with just using language models alone, you can't do anything on your own. Okay, you need your code to be built. So RAG-based applications. Now, if you want to build all these things, you need to have Python. You have to learn to code in Python. That's a developer job. Okay, so the code has to be executed in an environment. You need to think of it like a stack. When it comes to developing this AI-based, generative AI-based RAG application and all, you cannot treat it just like an app. It is a full stack. It is a stack. It is a software stack. A software stack generally not just consumes Python alone. It may have, you need to have the Chroma database, which I showed in the RAG design. This is a vector database. You should be able to run it in your developer platform. You need to have the language model runner like Olama. You need to have other databases like whatever you want to use for your full stack product development, software development. So all those things are generally needed. You need to have a web server. So a complete full stack, full software stack for development is needed. Okay, to power up this full software stack, we can use tools like Docker. Okay, I'm not going to when I Docker DevOps and okay, so when I say Docker, people immediately jump into mind DevOps. Okay, DevOps is infrastructure oriented. I'm not talking about I'm not going into Docker, but what I am saying is using tools like Docker, using tools like Kubernetes, primarily Docker, simplifies your generative AI based full stack development. Okay, point is you have to understand the point. Okay, how to use Docker, how to use to build this AI-based the environments and all. That is technical part. Let's not get into it. Docker in the Docker Hub, you can find lots of images. So if you look into the SloopStash Docker Hub, we have lots of we've been contributing to the container images, machine images, VM images and all. So we maintain lots of images like the Chroma database, Olama, and for different things, PostgreSQL, Ruby, Elasticsearch. We maintain lots of custom images, which is generally used by internet users as well as our company. So we generally maintain that in the Docker Hub. Okay. So those images are the images which we pull and helps to use to run the development environment. Okay, multiple development environments we can run by using these images from the SloopStash Docker account. We created that for you can take any Docker images from the things and you can use it. Okay, you need to understand one important thing here. Okay, why Docker? Why Docker? That's very important. I'm not going to go in infrastructure engineering view, but let me tell one important fact around this. Okay, please listen carefully. This is very, very important. I oftenly say this same thing to people in our DevOps cloud sessions and all. I generally say, if you want to see the development of artificial intelligence based technologies, where it is going to, how the software development is going to happen based on the AI based technologies, you will see Docker in a very leading part. Okay, this is by far the only one best solution that enabled us to run the bigger artificial intelligence models, language models like DeepSeek, Gemma, Llama, Qwen, ChatGPT, open source. You see, they have lots of images being created. They maintain all those things. Docker is the only one company as of now in the infrastructure engineering world enabled developers around the world to take advantage of GenAI tech. There is no other company in the world actually doing this kind of work. Okay, if you want to trace how the development of generative AI is going to go in the next 2 to 3 years, you can clearly see it in the Docker Hub. When you guys have time, please go to this and search. Okay, I'm not talking about a kind of an this is not a DevOps session. Okay, we have to understand it. Understand this is not a DevOps session. Okay, I'm talking about generative AI based things, how to develop applications with GenAI based technologies, high performance language models. Docker exposes that for you. Okay, and there is another tool, famous tool, which is being widely used, and that is called Olama. Okay, so this is another tool which enables and exposes you to thousands of models. This is where we get the DeepSeek, Qwen, or Llama 3. Facebook. Every single models that we've been using is from here. This is the framework. Okay, we install, you can download, install it, and just like that, use it as a standalone, or you can integrate into your full stack like this as a Docker image and power up your full stack in a dev environment. So this is what I wanted to say. Okay, this is what I wanted to share. And further, to simplify the generative AI-based development, we as a company, okay, we as a team, we have built lots of toolkits. If you see here in the SloopStash documentation, we have built lots of, we have built specifically the container toolkit, which helps you to power this AI-based stacks. Basically, you can use our SloopStash Docker starter kit, which allows you to get started with these Olama-based language models just like that in a matter of few commands. You don't need to have more setups and all. You don't need to build Docker images, pull that and all, not needed. So just like that, you can start it. Okay, and you can run your own, build your own full stacks by copying our starter kit code, and you can customize it for your purpose. This is to just to simplify the development of the generative AI-based technologies. Okay, so it has lots of other things like big data and all that, but the focus here in today's session is generative AI-based technologies. Okay, so I believe all of you now understand the why the internal developer platform is very important to generate to develop your own applications around the generative AI. Okay, so to do that, we need to go for container-based solutions using Docker. That will expose you to a very huge world of Gen AI. Okay, so that is why I've been from the beginning saying that Gen AI or the large language model is not just about ChatGPT. People always think AI is all about ChatGPT, but it's a very wrong idea, and that is not true. So companies like Docker has made so much important thing in the container world, container infrastructure world, and it's not about DevOps topic. Okay, so this enables you to integrate with many high performance language models, and we have tried so many models from here. Okay, so this is what you have to, from now on, you guys have to see through these kinds of tools and try to leverage these tools for your development, and so that you can lead the AI race. In the next 2-3 years, these things will go big. Okay, I'm not saying today, maybe today it is small. Next 2-3 years, you will see the open source driven AI-based development will go very, very big. Okay, so you can take that word. So this is what I wanted to just share. Okay, now I'm going to power up the stack and just show. Okay, so if how many of you understood this? What means? How many of you understood the significance of internal developer platform with these tools? Is that understandable? The significance and all that. எல்லாருக்கும் புரிஞ்சிச்சிங்களா? Why we need these kinds of tools and technologies to build generative AI-based applications? You think, am I okay? Fine. So it was just been there for a long time, so it is asking signing. Okay, fine. Now let's go into this. Now let's go into this execution. Okay, so I won't take much time. Okay, I won't be getting into Kubernetes and all that will sometimes take much more time than the expected time. I'll give more times for the question and answer session. Okay, so now I will go and try to do some stack execution. Okay, the generative AI-based stack and how that is working. First, we need to understand. Okay, nalla gavaninga. Ipo I'm going to start the execution process. Idu mattu you guys nalla konja purinjikittingina, if you guys understand this, this will be very useful for you. Whether you are a DevOps engineer or SRE platform engineer or full stack developer or big data science, ellarkume this is a common subject. Okay, so now listen carefully. I'm going to power up the stack. Okay, so I'll show how we can do that. So first I am starting my VMs. Okay, you see here in the picture what I told is I need to run a virtual machine. Inside my virtual machine, I will be running Docker tools, and I will be using my kit to power up this stack, and I will show how this RAG works exactly with the proper proofs. Okay, sometimes due to hardware restrictions, certain responses will take time, but we need to wait and see. Okay, nalla gavaninga. So first thing is I'm going to start my VM. Okay, to start my VM, I'm going to use my commands which is available in I'm going to start my VM, so I can use my VM kit to start it. So I just go fast. Okay, because time is almost 6 o'clock. I don't have much time. So I just start my VM. I need to set. I think I already have it today morning. I think I'll open that. In Linux, I have it here. Here. So I just start my development VM, okay, or let's say dev server, in which we have the Docker kind of things are running. Okay, starting it, and I'm going to upgrade. Okay, so this is anyone can use this. Okay, suppose you want to build lots of VMs, different Linux versions, build your own internal developer platform. I would recommend you guys to check out our SloopStash VM toolkit and container toolkit. I will share this documentation link. You guys can check it when you are free. Okay, I'll just give that link there. This is where it becomes very useful. So you guys can check it later on. What are all these toolkits and how you can take advantage of these toolkits to build your own customized developer platforms and run Docker, Kubernetes, run powerful stacks, big data workloads, GenAI workloads. So all those things are already done. Okay, so you can take it, customize it, and develop your own applications. Okay, so that's the motive of open source development. You can also find the code of whatever I have been doing. You can find the code in the SloopStash GitHub repositories. You can find and see we develop lots of kits and apps based on that. You can find all the code here, the Docker starter kit code, the Kubernetes starter kit code, everything you can find it here. Okay, so this is where we are. So let the VM start. The VM is started. So I'm going to connect to the VM. Please listen carefully. In the execution, everyone has to clearly see. You guys can try it. All the code is available. Okay, so you guys can try it later on in your free time. That's kind of guidance. But for now, just check பண்ணுங்க. So this is the dev VM, okay, which I am powering up, and it's called SloopStash Dev Ubuntu 24.04 server. And in this dev server, I have Docker tools running, so which we can check by sudo systemctl status docker dot service. Okay, sudo systemctl status docker dot service. So I have my Docker engine tools running inside the machine. Okay, so this is the proof for that. So according to this picture, okay, so inside a virtual machine, I am running my Docker tools. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the path of my SloopStash Docker starter kit, and I'm going to power up my full stack, generative AI full stack, where the RAG application is going to run. Okay, LMA I will transparently show, and all the code is available in the open source. That also I will show. Okay, please listen carefully. Now, I just need to do the mounting part. Okay, so let me go to the OPT kickstart Docker. So this is the place where you have the Docker starter kit downloaded. So the Docker starter kit means you can assume it like a project in your angle. Okay, so this is the Docker starter kit. It contains lots of images, workloads, and configurations, stacks, data engineering, so many other things were available. You can surf that and you can try whatever you want. Okay, so this is a long-term, this is open source community development initiative under SloopStash. So we've been doing this for 5-6 years. Okay, so now I'm going to start up this stack. The stack is called this one, the Python Ollama Redis Chroma Nginx. It's called Artificial Intelligence Assistant Stack. This is not completely built up. It's a small prototype, but the concept is there to show. Okay, so I'm going to start the app development environment of the app. I'm going to set the environment as dev, and I'm going to start my for this you need to just know some piece of Docker, but that's not very important as of now. We need to know concepts. That's very important. So you see, already I built the stack. So first time, last time, so it is starting very quickly. So once you start run this Docker compose command, you can see the full stack is getting powered. Okay, what I am trying to do is I'm trying to simulate this one. Okay, I'm trying to I'm trying to run a development environment using the Docker engine container tools available inside the VM. Okay, so to build my developer platform. Okay, and I use the Python, Chroma, Redis, Ollama, Nginx. I think these are all the images used to power this full stack. Okay, so you can check those images here available in the machine already. I downloaded it. The Chroma database, which is a vector database. Olama is the language runner. Language model runner. And Redis is another database we use. And Python is the Python image version 3.3. All those things helps to power up the containers of that particular environment. Okay, so you can see here we have the Docker container. After you run the command, you will see the Python container running. You see the Redis, Chroma, and Olama is running. Okay, so all those things are running now. So you have a stack now powered up. It's a dev environment available here. Okay, and now if you go to the, if you want to access the app, you just need to click the link here and right click and open it here. So it will open the app. So you can see this is the app. Okay, this is the app which we have developed to demonstrate this RAG implementation. A RAG implementation. We generally develop this app. It has a bit of a neat UI and all, but that's a part of full stack development process, UI, UX, material design, Google and all. But leave all that. Okay, now everyone should have understood that how I powered up my environment. So here the generative AI-based language models runs inside this container called Olama, which I will show after some time. So how many of you understood how to power up? I mean, conceptually understood how to power up just like that. You can power up your full stack environment as containers. How many of you understood? Is that understood? Okay, fine. Very, very good. Okay. Now, what we have to do here is take advantage of this. First, I will explain this RAG application with our whiteboard. Please listen carefully. First, what did we tell? I told that we need to put our own custom data, and that data has to be converted to chunks and it has to be stored to the vector database. You see here, what I have done is I have clicked this create document kind of small form, and through this form I have given certain data, and that data is now stored inside, converted into a vector embeddings and stored inside. Class time I can't sit and put all the data, and I mean it takes lots of time. I know the time constraint is there, so I have given certain amount of data. Okay, like what is SloopStash? I have given some data and some other more extra content. And what is Inceptor SloopStash partnership? So I have given some content. All these contents I have just copy pasted. I didn't upload it as a PDF. We could have actually done it like that. Okay, so basically I'm just giving what is this generative AI masterclass, so you can feed, basically what you can do is, for example, you can feed this kind of systems with lots of, for example, we have announcements. Tomorrow we have an announcement like we are starting a multi-cloud engineering course based on generative AI full stack Python in the August. I think tomorrow I think that is one of the announcements which I have to make. So we are starting this course. Okay, so this kind of data is not generally known by this application. Okay, so it doesn't know what is it. Suppose if you go to this chat and ask what is the multi-cloud course from SloopStash means, it doesn't know that. So I need to take these informations, I need to feed it into the system, and that has to be stored inside the vector database as vector data, vector embeddings. So this is the generation. So the moment you create a data here, okay, by, I think, where is that? So the moment you click and create a document and save that, it will be stored inside your Chroma vector database. Okay, here it is returning as text because I'm using Redis database to show all these things. That's all. It's all part of developing application. And now, if you see here, the major part is generation. Generation means, you see, our data converted into a vector and stored inside the database. First, we need to verify whether this is really converted and stored in the vector database. Okay, I'm going to just show whether it is really stored in the vector database, whether it is really available in the vector database or not. Okay, so in order to see that, we can go to this Chroma container, which is running inside your VM. I'm going to just get into it, and I'll just show what is this Chroma container, and bin/bash. Okay, bin/bash. And we can just like that use a command. We can use a command called, I think it is here. Okay, the command, and I just show it. So whatever data which I fed into the system, you can see here about the Docker starter kit, the container starter kit, and what about the generative AI, zero masterclass. So Inceptus, SloopStash collaboration, all those documents are generally stored inside the vector database. It looks like this, okay? When you retrieve the data, you can get the vector embeddings also. It looks like numbers, so it won't be generally visible in the terminal. So this is how it is stored. Whatever you see here, whatever data you see here is generally available in the vector database. This is the first thing we have to understand. And then if you look into the Ollama container, you will see the model runners are available. Okay, you just see here, bin/bash. Okay, so you can see here, Ollama is the framework where you can run different language models. Here I have downloaded the Llama 3.2 and an embedding model called Nomic Embed Text, which also I explained in the RAG app design. Okay, Nomic Embed Text is the embedding model which I have downloaded in this place. And I've used Llama 3.2 1 billion parameters language model to power up my generative response. So two models I am actually downloading and keeping it inside the Ollama container. It was done in the morning, so it was there. Okay, so these are all the things which I am having. Okay, now you see, you have seen that we have the data. I have given some data about SloopStash inside into the, and it is stored in the vector database. And that is also, and I also showed what kind of embedding models and what kind of large language models I have been using for this application. Okay. Now, before trying this RAG, okay, before trying this RAG implementation, testing this RAG implementation, we have to know one thing: how the same language model responds without your RAG implementation with RAG implementation. You have to understand this matter. Without RAG implementation, how this Llama language model responds. With the RAG implementation, how with our own data, how it is responding. That gives you a clear cut understanding on what is this RAG-based application design. Okay, now listen carefully. I'm going to run this large language, language model, Ollama run. So this is the command to run it. So I'm going to just run it as a standalone one. I'm not going to run it through the Python application with our own data. I'm just basically running it. Okay, just like that, running it. You see here, this is the command to run it. Okay, I'm just running this model and let it load. Ollama run 3.2 1B. Okay, so it is now opening a shell or a console. Okay, you see here, opening a shell or a console. In this console, I'm going to ask, tell me about Inceptus. Okay, so this doesn't know anything about Inceptus or doesn't know anything about SloopStash. Okay, now it's the same model which I will be using along with RAG. You will see a different response. Okay, now I'm just asking a question to it, and it will say, I couldn't find any specific information about the company called Inceptus. It is possible to be a private company, so something like that. It is asking for more context about Inceptus. So if you see the response generated from this Facebook Meta's open source Llama language model, 3.2 version, 1 billion small model, not a big model. And that is saying, when I say, tell me about Inceptus, it's the same model. It is not giving any information about Inceptus because it does not know what it is. Okay. Now, if you look into this RAG-based application through this chat interface, which I mean, this is not a very appealing implementation. It's just a prototype. This is in a halfway like that. Okay, so we need to build a clear UI and all, so it's not complete. Okay, so for now there's this synchronous request. Okay, so now here I have stored some information about the SloopStash and Inceptus partnership related things in our vector database. Okay, so you can see here I've shown that in some time back in the terminal. Okay, now I'm going to go and give the same query. Tell me tell more about Inceptus. Okay, tell more about Inceptus, and this is going to work in a very different way. Okay, let's see what is happening. Okay. Well, let's wait and see, because this is all inside the VM, small VM, not a big one. So sometimes that this hardware requirements will be there. So constraints will be there. So it will take some time to respond, but it will respond. Okay. So tell me more about Inceptus. So it's the same query which I ran here. The same query which I ran here. It's the same model, same Llama 3.2. I'll just exit this one by putting by. Same model, same everything, same container, everything same. So I'm just waiting for a response. Let's see what is coming out of it. It should give something. I should be streaming the output, but it's all synchronous. We didn't have the time to build it like that, but just going to provide the output. Need to wait for that. This output should be here. So generally, when you give these kinds of okay, so it has given some information. So you see here, some result has come. Okay, generally when you give these kinds of queries, it will think and then type all those things. It takes time. So it's not a real-time app. So we made it synchronous. So we need to convert it. So that's why it was still loading. Otherwise, we could have handled it in a better way. So now listen carefully. You see now, according to the provided context, this is the response that came from the same Llama 3.2 1 billion parameter Chota language model. Okay, small language model, not a really big language model. There are big sizes also, but this is a small size. Okay, 1.3 GB size. Okay, so this is the language model, which is what we have sent, which is where we have sent this question which I have given. And along with certain provided context, it is giving the response. Inceptus is a partnership between SloopStash and other entity. The text states that Inceptus collaborates with SloopStash to enable training program placement for high quality skills. However, it does not provide further detail about Inceptus for its objective, and it does DevOps, cloud, software, artificial intelligence, or other target audience, enterprise organization. So you see a clear-cut response has come from the language model, okay, which we used called Llama, okay. But when I ran the same Llama from the command line without giving any context, without a RAG design, you can see it just said, I do not know what is Inceptus. Okay, this is the difference between a RAG implementation with RAG and without a RAG. Same model, same thing, same container, same, everything is same, but with RAG, it has enough context to respond. Without RAG, it does not have enough context to respond. That's why it said could not find a company. And here you see it gave a very clear-cut explanation about it. Okay, even if you look into this app, I have just given very few amount of information. I didn't give even big documents also. Just small texts and alone, even not even 1,500 characters. Okay, now this is how you can understand this application, how the language model is working. So with the RAG and without RAG. First time I ran the language model just in the command line interface without RAG, that yielded some response, and with RAG, a properly written RAG application, and through that I am just trying to put all the data, and then I am trying to query from the chat, and then I got this kind of a response. Okay, so how many of you understood this? Clear with RAG language model, how a language model reacts and responds with RAG, without a RAG. This is very important. Okay, today's session's important thing is not Docker or running in containers or not making language models and all that, but the matter is how to build own software applications. You build own software applications like this and integrate your generative AI-based stacks, generative AI-based technologies, workloads inside your full stacks, and get customized responses. Okay, so like this, you can play with this kind of thing. Okay, so people sometimes think, okay, these apps and all we can't run it. So if you go and check SloopStash documentation, you will get all the resources, because we do lots of open source development. We are a leading open source developers. You can see here we build lots of kits and all that. This RAG application code is also available here. Okay, so RAG application code is also available here. You can see it, take that application, and I don't have much time to explain how the prompt is built and all, but I will show few parts. Okay, and this is not just my work alone. Okay, it is a teamwork. Our team mates like Divyapriya and our open source teammates like Eliasher, all of them helped me to build these kinds of applications, and they are one of the important people who contributed to these kinds of what this masterclass and all that. Okay, I'm mostly delivering the content. I also built this, gave these ideas and all that. Okay, so I believe all these things are available open source. Okay, the app, everything, you guys can take it from internet. Okay, so from the GitHub. So that just give it here. Okay, so and the Docker starter kit, Kubernetes starter kit, all those things available in the documentation layer. You guys can take it from here. So entire documentation address I am giving. You can try it. I just use the same commands from here. Okay, so SloopStash toolkits documentation. You can find it. I think this part. I just talk up in the Kubernetes also. The same implementation is there, but I don't want to overload people. Okay, so I just stay here. Okay, because I'm just 616 now. Okay, so how many of you now felt this design is interesting? Interesting. How many of you felt interesting this session? Okay, now summarize பண்றேன். ஒரு summarize I will do. அப்புறம் நம்ம question answer time வைக்கலாம். But Kubernetes implementation, I will give the notes. You guys can try it. Okay, because that again takes a lots of time to show and down it. Okay. Now please listen carefully. Summarize பண்றேன் இந்த செஷனை. கொஞ்சம் ஒரு முறை நல்லா கவனிங்க. Useful, you should learn something. I also must benefit out of it. Okay, நல்லா கவனிங்க. From where we started with this session, the first thing is we started with the timeline. So what did we learn from the timeline? How we get the human intelligence data from the search, from the social networks and the coding platforms, put it as a training input for machine learning, deep learning algorithms, and build machine learning models. That's how ChatGPT, Llama, Gemini, Copilot, DeepSeek, whatever you use in the internet has been formed. That's what we call as the generative AI. Generative AI is in itself is not a technology. It's a concept or a paradigm. Okay. And then we discussed about what we discussed about the 3 great engineering domains in the IT industry. And this is here we discussed about infrastructure, full stack, and data engineering, data-driven engineering domains, big data, artificial intelligence, data analytics, data science, what kind of tools and libraries used mostly. I've just quoted it here. Okay. And I also told whether it is full stack or data engineering, you need infrastructure to run it, whether cloud or on-premise, whatever it is. Okay. And we saw some executions around the platform engineering, DevOps engineering concepts. And we saw AI, generative AI-based things today. And we saw some full stack implementation also, front end to Python, back end UX with Google Material Design. This app is designed with Google Material Design. So that kind of things. And we also have seen databases like Redis. We also have seen databases like ChromaDB kind of thing, vector databases and all. We saw Python in execution. So these are all the things we saw today. And you know now that I am touching all parts. What you have to conclude here is I'm touching all parts. I didn't say that I'm talking about AI alone. I am touching full stack. I'm touching infrastructure, DevOps, platform concepts, and the tools that we use to implement. So you can't say I'm just talking about GenAI alone. I'm using everything to build our own software product, okay, around AI technologies. Then we discussed about the hype, social issues, social media issues, security concerns, and then the open source based solutions, alternatives to ChatGPT kind of things. And then we discussed about the hierarchical structuring of the generative AI based things. And if you look into the machine learning, deep learning, generative AI language model, all those things, so you can find it like that. And what are the tools and libraries? We saw Olama, and there is another thing called Hugging Face. Okay, Hugging Face is also a very wonderful. They are a huge open source community, so called Hugging Face. I think Docker integrates with Hugging Face a lot to bring those language models in display. So you can see this is a very vibrant AI community where you can find lots of machine learning models, language models available. And this is a very huge place you can search. There are thousands of things here. Okay, so I can't describe all those things. Thousands of things are there. You can use all these things. Okay, so try all these things. And increase your knowledge. That's all. Okay, and then we discussed about the RAG, which is an important concept we discussed today. So in the RAG, we discussed the generation part and then the retrieval part. Generation part is all about you give your own enterprise data, customer data, break it in chunks, use an embedding model, and create vector embeddings and store it inside the vector database. This is generation part. And then in the retrieval part, we use a question. So what is inceptors? Tell me more about it, like that, something like that. And that question is also converted into a vector data and used to query against the vector database, which will return certain results. And you get the context from the vector database and the vector database. You get the context from the vector database, and you use the context plus your question as the prompt, and that is generally fed to the large language model. Here I have used Llama, which is a model released by Facebook. It is an open source generative AI large language model. I used 1 billion parameters in Llama, but if you want to download and use bigger models in the same Llama itself, you can have in the 3.2 Llama, you can get 3 billion also. Okay, so 3 billion model also is available, which is a bit of bigger in size, and it just generates more better output. And you can also find the Google's Gemma 3 model. These are all the different types of models available in the Olama library. You can take these models and you can try implementing, and you can customizedly generate lots of outputs. Okay, so I showed examples with RAG and how the model reacts without the RAG. Okay, so up to this we have concluded, and the developer platform also we've seen how we can power up. So this is what I just wanted to share. So I believe all of you got the matter. So I think I have conveyed my matter and properly. And then this production grade deployment of Kubernetes cluster, I think that is going to take the lots of time. We can't drag till 9 o'clock and all. So I think I will give the documentation required to run the same stack what you have run in Docker. You can run the same in Kubernetes also. That is also available in the Kubernetes starter kit, which I will provide that documentation. So you can find it here. So that is, I need up the VMs Kubernetes cluster and I need to one by one. That takes lots of time. I don't believe we can complete before 8:30 also. Okay, it takes time. So I just give this link. You guys can use this link to run it in Kubernetes like the way how I ran it in Docker for internal developer platform. Okay, so if you know Kubernetes, you can try it. Otherwise, don't try. Okay, no, not needed to try. So this is how I want to conclude. Finally, one more thing. If people ask me how to show this prompt, because every time people ask a question, how the prompt is written, how this thing. So that generally people ask that question. Okay, when I show this RAG design and all that, people are curious about how this prompt is designed, where it is designed. Can you show me in the code? Sometimes people ask. For that purpose, I just reveal some part of code, which is also available in the open source GitHub. You can take and try it. But I will show it here, how the prompt generally is written. It's a very small thing only. You can see here. This is the prompt content. You know that you type something in the chat GPT and all, right? So in the UI, it's the same kind of thing. Okay. So you see here, I'm telling the language model saying that only use the below context, don't make up any other information. So only answer based on my data and my content. Don't respond with your own imaginations and your knowledge. So I'm giving the context. The context provided here is nothing but the data coming from the Chroma database, which is the vector embeddings data. Okay, sorry, which is what we stored earlier as vector embeddings, and that text was taken from there, and that is fed as a context. And then my question, which I have, that is, what is SloopStash? Tell me more about Inceptus. That is the question, which is also I am giving in the prompt. So that's why I told prompt is generally a combination of a context and the user query or user question. Okay, and then this prompt is now given as an input to the Olama language runner, which will trigger this Llama 3.2 1 billion model, and then it will yield the response. Okay, so this is code part. I don't want to talk more about the coding part. This is code implementation. Always remember, in the technology world, 90% is concept understanding. Only 10% is technical implementation. 90% concept understanding is wrong, means technical implementation will, however, be wrong, even if you are a very great programmer also. Okay, that's the matter. We have to keep that in mind. Okay, so I am concluding now with my thing. Only except Kubernetes is pending. But I can't do it. It will cross 7:30 if I touch that. 7:15 more than that. I need to then drag everything. So I'm 6:26, 7 o'clock. I told I will complete the session. So I'm up to question and answers. Okay. So first, how many of you liked it? How many of you really enjoyed? And how many of you really got the matter? Got the matter, right? So you should not say, I don't know what it is. Okay. So you got the matter, and you should be able to develop that idea. Okay, so that's the very important thing. And I think you guys have to, one more small announcement which I have to make, which I forgot. And the announcement is tomorrow we are starting this multi-cloud engineering course. Okay, I think that's our small announcement which I have to make. This multi-cloud engineering course, I just share it in this group. Okay, so this is a course in which we see the combination of cloud, generative AI, data engineering, and detailed Python execution and full stack development. I mean, everything is a combination of that, where the more emphasis goes to Microsoft Azure and AWS cloud. So that the course, you guys just see through the link. if your friends are in need who wants to transition to AI-based career technology development and all that, you guys can inform them about this. If you want, you can also check out these kinds of things. So this is my final announcement. So let's go to the questions. So let's get into the questions. You guys can start asking the question. I'm up to that. So I'm closing my session, 6:30 time. So I'm closing. So first, Vinod Kumar raised the hand. I will unmute you. You can ask the question. Allow mic. Okay. Vinod Kumar, I have allowed the mic. Okay, Divyapriya, can you allow him? I think I have the sign in popping up. I think that's why I need to re-sign in again. Okay. So in this course, I believe all of you are able to hear me. Is that able to hear me? Guys, able to hear me? Okay, fine. So this course is about not developing applications, but in this course, we will see completely about end-to-end full stack development process, testing and all that, how to build it in the cloud, how to run it in, all that. So that's what we will see. Okay, not going to full stack Python coding development is not going to be there. Python programming will be there, but not development. This is not a development course. Okay. Any other questions? You guys can give it in the chat or can unmute. I will share the notes. I will share all the possible informations in the WhatsApp group. What exactly they mean a language model? What does it contain and how is the same? Okay. A language model is basically, we can think of it like a kind of a data structure plus code. So you can, when I say, okay, I can put it this way, I think I need to put it this way. What is the language model? Okay. Generally, when you give your training data to certain programs, algorithms means programs. Okay, programs in the college days and all, you may have learned about the binary tree sorting. So we say these are all algorithms, right? We use the word algorithms. So data structure algorithms kind of things we learn in the computer science engineering paper. So like that, you can treat these things like machine learning, deep learning algorithms. You feed in your training data, and as a result of that, it will generate certain output, okay, which is a combination of data structures and code and all that. And that is what we call as the models or machine learning models, okay? And that contains pattern. That contains pattern and so many other internal things which is generated by these machine learning, deep learning libraries. Okay, it's data, nothing but the data. And that is what we have. We can't just like that say it's like a Python code or a Ruby code or a Java code. We can't even treat like that. It's a data with lots of patterns inside that. That's what we generally call as the machine learning models. Okay, so it is the low level thing inside that. Okay, and what is this? What is the prerequisite to go for this? No prerequisite and all is not there. We need to have some passion and interest. That's the prerequisite which we want. So apart from that, I don't believe any prerequisite is there needed. And sharing my screen, I forgot to share my screen. And so it is mainly on infra. Not infra means it's not just infra alone. Lambda kind of developer services will be coming in the course. Can the recording be shared? Yeah, we will check the recording part. The recording will be processed after some time, and then once the recording is ready, we will try to share it. Only in the WhatsApp group only it will come. Okay, not outside. Okay. Do we need to have good knowledge of machine learning, deep learning concepts? No, actually not needed, because I myself I'm not a machine learning, deep learning master. So I want to say that I'm not a machine learning, deep learning master. Okay. So the machine learning, deep learning's libraries outputs, the models is what we are taking and consuming. Okay, you don't need to be machine learning, deep learning master to actually take advantage of this kind of technology and build your own code like this. You don't need to know that. Okay, so that is why AI is for everyone, even for development purpose. Anyone can take advantage. Only thing is you need to what to say. We need to know all these things. That's all. We need to have an idea what it is all about. So you don't need to know every other things. Okay, you don't need to know a convolutional neural network kind of algorithm, how it functions. You don't need to know all that to build this RAG application. Okay, so are we using AI models, develop plus testing plus deploying to build end-to-end data pipelines in this course? We are not going to build data pipelines. We are going to build applications. Okay, deploy applications that works based on this AI models. We are not going to build data pipelines and all. That's generally a data engineering use case. Not going to build data pipelines, but we will see how we can use this, build these kinds of applications, run it, scale it, run it in Kubernetes at production grade, or run it in Microsoft Azure, AKS, EKS kind of things and all, and how we can power up our development. Those are all the things we can do. I am ready to already into Azure data developer, sharpen towards AI. Good only. I think there was another Azure data engineering course which started by Inceptus in the last month. I do not know whether you know that or not. That Azure data engineering course that also features generative AI, and I cannot get. I think lots of questions were there. Could you please allow me to unmute? I think I have allowed some people to unmute. Allowed. You can unmute. I think you can just click unmute and ask. Can we use AI models in database level? That is not possible as of now. AI models are different and databases are different. So we can't treat both the things. We can't equally compare that. That's not right. I don't know about agentic frameworks, but I've been hearing. Agentic AI implementation is something which we've been working on. So we haven't completely implemented agent-based AI. Actually, we are working towards that. This app and all, we will promote it like that, but not yet complete. So that will not be shared in this. That will not be a part of this course. Is this planned for tomorrow's? Is this planned for in the tomorrow's course? Tomorrow's course. I mean, whatever we have seen today, this abstracts will be there in the course. Okay, but that is not the entire course. That is a multi-cloud engineering course. It's focusing more on AWS, Azure. And the workloads will be generative AI, full stack, Python, data engineering, big data kind of things will come. Hadoop, Kafka will come. So that they're all use cases, projects that will be there. Okay. Clear exact view of this course. I would like to know what I will be able to do after this. Will I be able to use language building AI toolset? Yeah, you will be able to understand and build it. Okay. Only thing is, we have to, if you want to take advantage, you need to have some Python knowledge. But this course is not completely going to be a Python programming course. Of course, we have Python programming sessions, but it is not going to be completely full stack Python development course. Okay, so because the 4 months we have planned is almost cloud itself, we can't get that 3.5 to 4 months, and that's a very small time. Okay, but you will be able to understand how to, whatever I am doing today, you guys will be able to do at the end of the day. Okay, but except writing a cutting edge Python code. Okay, but you will learn some Python, not fully completely into Python. We allocate 2 to 3 sessions for that. Python scripting is there. And I think lots of messages are there. Which message I'm reading? Can we directly integrate?
Hey John, am I audible?
Now audible. Yes.
Yeah, so this is Krishnan. I'm an Azure data developer. I would like to understand more about the AI, like how the LLM models I can use in my current day-to-day activities, different LLM models, like what you explained now, right? To understand this, which course would be fine for me, because I do not want to pull in again into the data engineering part because I've been into this for past quite some time. So I would like to understand, is there any course you guys are planning in next quarter or upcoming months related to that?
Actually speaking, this course which I have showed in this multi-cloud course, which generally contains 9 phases actually. Okay, it contains 9 phases. In the 9 phases, one of the phases which you see here, the phase 3, is the complete execution of what we have seen today, end to end. Okay. So if you want to get more about understanding about how generative AI things works, large language model works, and how to understand it in the very lower level, I think the phase 3 in this cloud in this course will be useful. Okay, this is specifically tailored for that phase 3 alone is specifically to give a very clear understanding for all people, whether DevOps, cloud, data engineering, or whatever it is. So they will get a clear understanding on how to take advantage of generative AI LLMs. And today I just showed some glimpse of it. That will be very detailed in the session time. So what we've seen today, that prototype will be very detailed in the session time. In the phase 3, we cover that. Actually, you can see the phase 3 of this is this one. Phase 3.
So is it something, can I join only for the phase 3 or should I subscribe for the
No, that is not possible. Generally, the phase 3 means without the phase 3, rest of the course is not going to work. Only when you want to build generative with whatever we have seen today, if you want to build this thing here in the local with the internal developer platforms like this, and you want to take and run the same thing in the cloud and adopt it to cloud technologies and build that and deploy it there, then we need to have this base right. So only when you know how to develop these kinds of things, build the development infrastructure and platforms and all that, then same thing can be ported to cloud. So that's why I told this is the phase 3. Phase 3 is the most important phase. Without phase 3, the rest of the phases don't work in the course actually. Phase 4 has nothing much. Network storage and all for what we are going to do. To build these kinds of architectures in the cloud only, we touch the network related compute storage kind of things, right? So whether we go for cloud-based Kubernetes, Docker, containers, and other things also, we need this basic part to be understood. Without understanding this part, there is nothing to do with the 4, 5, 6 and all. Okay, so that is why we kept it.
Okay, so shall I subscribe for that? Do you recommend that in case who is
anyone who is willing to, I mean, suppose you said that you are already into data engineering and already have done enough insight, this will be kind of an different infrastructure engineering oriented. This will be like a multi-cloud infrastructure automation, how to do multi-cloud automation and like using tools like Terraform. So this will be infrastructure aligned, infrastructure. This will also have data engineering components, generative AI components, full stack Python components, the material Google design, whatever we have seen, same stack almost will run in the cloud also, in the Kubernetes. But the matter is, This is aligned towards infrastructure, not towards pure Python development. Okay, and not also completely going to go into data engineering angles like building data pipelines and data related activities, ETLs. So it is not going to be like that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So it is going to fall completely under this radar. And these two things will be use cases. Data engineering things, for example, Apache Kafka cluster on Kubernetes is a use case which we will build on the cloud. And running generative AI language models is a use case that we will build on the cloud. So that is how it is going to go. But the emphasis is going to be more on multi-cloud. Okay. Okay, I think till there are other questions, I just quickly scroll down. Can we directly integrate our database into RAG and get? No, Bhaiya. Actually, the databases you can't use a traditional database like MySQL or something. So suppose if you want to show me more about it, I don't have the time. You can see the data which I am talking about in this RAG implementation here is not a normal SQL kind of a data. Okay, it is a vector kind of a data, which is a numerical representation, because language models does not understand or does not process data like texts, like how other search engines and the other tools use. I mean, the general databases. The large language models understands data represented in numerical format, vector data. That is why you can't just store this vector embeddings and those big numerical data into MySQL or Elasticsearch kind just like that. You can't do it. You need a vector database. That is why we selected the vector database, open source vector database called Chroma. Okay, so this is the database widely and mostly used for AI-based applications, particularly for RAG-based applications. They use it. Okay, that is why. Okay, and please unmute now. As a part of the course, there will be statistics topics involved in. No. That is data science oriented topic. This will be infrastructure oriented. No statistics at all. And can you please tell me which the curriculum in GenAI that will be covered? We will be covering different language models. Okay, so we will be, for example, for the people who have asked in it, for example, we will try different language models. The app which we have written actually contains a configuration. In that, if you want to try different language models and improve the performance and build your we will get an idea on how to build agent-based AIs. Okay, agent-based AIs. What we have just built is a RAG application. We can change this language models. We can change this language models, customize the size of it, and generate different responses. Choose between the language models. So those kinds of experiments we will do, and we will be able to. That will generally lead us into the next level, which is agent AI or agentic AI like things. Okay, so that's where we project, but that is not the primary focus. The primary focus is multi-cloud. Okay, Azure, AWS is the primary focus. These are all going to be projects and use cases. Okay, and we will cover stats in our dedicated data science course only. We cover the stats. I'm working as a data engineer. Is that good to move to generative AI? And as of now, I'm not finding more openings compared to big data engineer or companies. Generative AI is a good technology. I think you guys can give a try to it. This is too early to comment on certain things. So see, always look into one thing. Every time new things comes into industry, it will try to rebalance. Okay, sometimes you see lots of openings for infrastructure engineering roles. Sometimes you see lots of openings for data engineering roles. Sometimes you see lots of openings for full stack engineering roles. So you see there will be some ups and downs in the number of openings and all. But my thing is, it is too early to predict this generative AI technologies because it takes 2 to 3 years to come to a proper maturity and conclusion. As of now, you can see if you put something like generative AI skills, I know how to develop RAG applications and all that. I think you are having the most in-demand skills. People will run after you and hire you. That is happening around everywhere. Full stack developers, particularly who know this RAG kind of concepts implemented, are getting hired very quickly. That is happening. But the matter is, we can't come to a conclusion very soon. Big data, data engineering, data science, all those things are still a very booming thing. So you can't say no openings, but maybe the way how we search has to change. But there will be some ups and downs. There will be some rebalancing happening in the industry that we need to wait for it. It is too early to predict anything. Okay, so even I also can't give much predictions now. And okay, can you please tell me? Okay, I think my day-to-day work is on data ingestion or migration activities using GCP services, BigQuery, and Terraform, Astro, Tecton pipeline schedule. My role is data engineer. I want to understand is it really a data engineering domain or infrastructure? You have to say data engineering domain. When you are using BigQuery, you are building data processing pipelines and all that. That is a pure data engineering domain. Okay, that generally doesn't come to infrastructure domain because cloud provides lots of infrastructures. If you ask me if that is the question, so I can answer in a bit better way. Generally speaking, cloud offers lots of services. Okay, cloud offers lots of categories of services. What we generally called as infrastructure as cloud, platform, SaaS in cloud. So most of the services, what you've been saying, the BigQuery kind of things are platforms. Okay, platforms in the cloud. Okay, that is not core infrastructure. Infrastructure in cloud services involves networking, virtual machines, storage, and computing units, so many other things. So that is infrastructure-oriented cloud. Platform-oriented means, for example, you have managed Kubernetes service in the cloud. It's a platform as a service. So we have lots of different types of categories in the cloud. Cloud means it's not just infrastructure services. On the whole, it provides infrastructure for everything. Okay, so that's what we have to understand. You are in the data engineering domain. You don't need to worry about infrastructure things. But if you want to extend your growth towards infrastructure engineering domain, you are always welcome. You have tools like Docker, Kubernetes, infrastructure cloud is there, like Amazon VPC, Azure Virtual Network. Those kinds of things are always there. So we have lots of things to explore in the infrastructure. It's a huge thing, infrastructure. There are so many things. Linux is there, virtualization, many things are there. Okay, so that's not going to fall under data engineering. Okay, and what other things? I think I have tried to answer almost most of the things. And one more thing I just want to share is, see, like you, generative AI is also a bit of a new puzzle for all of us. Okay, so I don't say that I am a master in that. What we have been researching and delivering is based out of our research. We are most of the companies that you find in the internet create lots of, most of the social media, there is lots of buzz, but the practical implementation is the problem. That's what we are trying to solve here. Okay, addressing the important security issues of AI and how to implement it safely for our organization use cases, kind of thing. But the matter is, we are also exploring and experimenting many things. So we can't come to a matured answer as of now. It takes at least 2 to 3 years. Everyone has to be a bit patient towards that. Okay, so 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. Okay, but these days it is experimenting. Everyone is experimenting, not us alone. Okay, so matured implementation takes 2 to 3 years. Full stack data science with GenAI. Okay, so any other questions do I need to engage? We will share the course details in the WhatsApp group. Any other questions you guys want to ask? In case of no questions, we can will the real project use cases, project uses RAG in the AI implement. Yeah. We will show all those things in the reality view. So everything will be really implemented. I think my screen is pink. Everything will be really implemented only. Nothing is like theory part. Everything is really implemented. Yeah, we will process the recordings and we will. What is the course duration? So the duration of the multi-cloud course is 4 months. Okay. The data science courses, I think it is 6 to 7 months. 7 months, I think. Data science course is 7 months. So any questions you guys can ask? If no questions, I think we can drop the call. Okay, data science course is 1 year, multi-cloud is 4 months. Anyone having questions, please ask in the chat window. In case of no questions, we can drop the call. Session is over. So we are nearing 7 o'clock. I don't know why I'm pinned. Data science course involves the statistics and mathematical related things. Please share your comments in the WhatsApp group if possible about the today's session so that all the others who haven't joined the session can get some idea about it. We will try to share the recordings link, but that will be a bit of an edited piece. So lots of, editing has to happen, so it takes some time. Thanks a lot. Okay, whoever sharing the feedbacks, kindly share it in the WhatsApp group, because that's where the crowd is there. Many people didn't attend actually. Okay, here if you share also, the matter is it will go away with this meeting chat. So in the WhatsApp means it will be there. So many people will try to get benefit out of it. Thank you. Those who don't have questions can drop the call. Time is nearly 7 o'clock. The session is over. People can drop the call. No questions. Guys, no question. Please drop the call. Still, there are 14 attendees here. Stopping my recording.